Good morning. Good morning. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Larry Clay and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members today are Ann Crawford and remotely Dylan Reed. Our Deputy Secretary Treasurer today is Nicole Ivanov. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. For those participating virtually, when your item is called, you'll be unmuted by the moderator. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the committee. Today, I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is contested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation. When an application is uncontested, the committee may not require a presentation. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept new materials at the hearing. The applicant or agent will proceed first to make a presentation to the committee, then individuals either in support or oppose the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we call first on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Each speaker, including the applicant, will give a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut those issues that were raised by the speakers. And this will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, any minutes to adopt?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. Yes, we have minutes from the March 4th, 2026 hearing ready for adoption.
Great. I will move adoption of those minutes. Do I have a seconder? Ann, all in favor? That passes. Are there any declarations of interest in this morning's session? Panel staff? See none. Any files to be closed this morning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have one file to be closed this morning. Municipal address of 38 Hugo Avenue, file number A0092/24TEY. This application was previously deferred and the owner wishes to no longer pursue the application. It would be closed with no refund in accordance with our refund policy.
All right, I'll move closure of that file. Do I have a seconder? Ann? All in favor? That aisle is closed. Any deferral requests from this morning's agenda?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, there are no deferral requests that I see for this morning's agenda.
All right. Then we can proceed with item number 1. Item number 1 is 492 Crawford Street. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3rd-story addition. The existing artificial turf in the rear yard will be replaced with soft landscaping. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have a staff report from Urban Forestry and correspondence and support from 494 Crawford Street. Oh, good morning, sir. Is your microphone on there? Is it green?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Name and address, please, sir.
My name's Kyle Zhang. The address is 492 Crawford Street.
Great, sir. Just hang on a second. It's a fairly straightforward application.
Yeah.
Panel, does anyone need a presentation?
No.
Dylan, you okay? Sir, we've read the application. We're familiar with the material. It's a fairly straightforward application. We don't need a presentation today, but is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
Just the previous decisions on the street. I don't know if you guys got those because it was submitted a little late.
Is that in the supplementaries? No, we didn't see those.
Those ones, I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. Do we have that? I don't think I have that. That's okay. Is there anything you'd like to say about that, sir?
It's just they're similar to what we're asking, and they got approved as well as in the same street. So I believe we're not negatively impacting the area. That's all.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, I don't think we have any questions. We'll take this into committee. Who wants to take this one? Ann?
I would move for. There we are. I would move for approval of this application. It seems like a fairly straightforward renovation, good use of space, minor variances. So I would move for approval with urban forestry condition number 3.
All right. Motion by Ms. Crawford to approve with urban forestry, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much
Thank
for coming
you.
down. They all don't go that easy. All right, item number 2 is 6 Wellwood Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing rear one-story detached ancillary building by constructing a complete second-story addition. The ancillary building will contain 1-car garage on the ground level and 1 garden suite occupying portion of the ground level and the entire second level. There'll be a total of 2 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and 10 photographs of trees on the subject property.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak and no other registered speakers for the item.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, through you, Mr. Chair. Sal Creamy, address 2572 Eglinton Avenue West.
Thanks, Sal. Maybe, Sal, just a quick overview of this, please. I
think it's pertinent to this application through you, Mr. Chair.
great.
So the address is 6 Wellwood Avenue. This is in very close proximity to St. Clair and Bathurst, in an area where I think we can all agree we'd like to see more units added to achieve our housing targets. It's a dense neighborhood that can support the growth with the infrastructure already in place of public transit. Due to the site's characteristics and kind of aesthetics, to lessen the impact to the surrounding properties, the decision was made to utilize the existing garage. And that is where the bulk of the variances are coming from pertaining to setbacks. Now, the appearance of the garage is somewhat presenting already as a 1.5 story, as it's got a high pitch roof with the dormers at the front. So the proposal would be to add a second story on top with a sloped roof. And the variance is being measured to the peak of the roof with slopes on all sides to lessen the impact to the surrounding neighbors. Notice was circulated as per standard procedure, and no complaints were noted. The owner had brief discussions with neighbors as well. Aesthetically, this will present very nicely as you have direct access from the driveway to the front of the garden suite, which is where the car will park, and you'll be able to access to the left to go up. And I think that's the pertinent aspects of this. It's just I want it to resonate that this is in a midtown area where we have existing infrastructure and amenities pertaining to public transit, retail, employment, schools, and where we can comfortably create an additional unit on this lot. Setbacks of garages are similar throughout this area just because of the characteristics of having the houses set off to one side and providing driveway access on the side of the house to the rear garages. And it will remain as a 2-unit property, only having an additional unit within the garden suite and the house being a sole house. And I'd like to open it up to any questions that the committee may have
Great,
for
thanks,
a wholesome
Al.
discussion.
I have a couple. So you're unusually close to the main dwelling. The setback is only 1.75 meters, and you're supposed to have 7 meters. So maybe you could just walk us through the proximity issue.
So as you can see on the site plan, it's being measured diagonally from a small rear story to an existing 2-story addition on the house. And that's where the variance is coming from. So we have a greater setback to the secondary wall of the original house, and we would be able to increase the fire ratings on the proposed garden suite walls, both exterior and interior, to achieve a heightened fire rating, which is what would be required within a scenario like this. But again, it's due to the existing 2-story rear addition, and it's being measured at the closest point, which is the corner. But as you can see, the front main wall of the garden suite is more in line with the existing rear line of the house, which presents a greater setback rather than the 2-story. And again, we can increase the fire ratings on the exterior and interior walls of the garden suite to ensure safety of all occupants.
Okay, so I presume you're planning to do that. The other question I have, in one of the photos you attached, it's a photo of the rear yard. And it's a little shady, but maybe, yeah, one more, a couple more. That one right there, if you could just, so it looks like the rear yard's pretty much all deck from that photo, or some sort of surface. And you're not seeking a rear landscaping variance.
No. So as you can see on the site plan, the intention is to remove a portion of that plastic deck. It's a plastic coated deck that'll be demolished, and you can reference that on the site plan. And then the rear yard will be returned to soft landscaping with added bicycle parking spaces as well, which is noted on the site plan.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to be clear that you're planning to remove that deck.
Correct.
Okay. All right, good. Panel, anyone else have any other questions?
No.
I don't see Dylan. Is Dylan there?
No questions.
Okay, let's take it into committee.
I'm happy to take this one.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this is, although on the surface it's very close, I think there's a lot of mitigating factors. First of all, that they're only building on the existing footprint of the garage, which I really appreciate. Secondly, that it's actually kitty corner to the extension. So really the impact is much, much lower. It's only a tiny portion that's that close. And I think the design is quite thoughtful in managing to create a desirable unit in a small space without really expanding that beyond. And it's also great that they're going to actually improve the soft landscaping. So I think this is a good proposal, and I'm ready to support it and move a motion to approve.
No conditions. All right, motion by Mr. Reed to approve, no conditions. Ann, do you want to second that?
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you very much. Move on to item number 3. 350 Sunnyside Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 1-story addition with a new rear roof deck above. The existing partial 1-story ground floor addition with the roof above will be demolished. Committee has before it Copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 10 photographs of trees on the subject property, a covering letter from the agent, previous decision number affecting the subject property. You have staff reports from Urban Forestry and correspondence and support from 348 and 352 Sunnyside Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak for the item and no other registered speakers.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Name and address, please.
My name is Trevor Keir at 510 Jarvis Street.
All right, thank you. Hang on a sec, sir. Panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? It's very straightforward. It's just FSI. No, we don't, sir. We don't need a presentation this morning. We've read the application. We're familiar with the material. It's a fairly minor variance you're requesting. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
Not really. There's plenty of precedents on Sunnyside. I think I found about 7 projects that had FSI between 0.84 and 1.03. And we've actually managed to increase the soft landscaping in the backyard. Even though we're enlarging the addition, we're taking away a play structure and realigning the parking so we get more soft landscaping, although that's not a variance.
All right, thank you. Well done. All right, any questions? See none, let's go into committee. And your turn.
I would move approval of this application. The FSI variation is minor. There's contextual fit with the neighborhood, no excessive massing. It's evidenced by letters of support. So I move approval with urban forestry condition number 2.
All right. Motion by Ms. Crawford to approve, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? Thank you, sir. You have your approval. Item number 4 is 10 Millicent Street. This is an application to alter the existing rear one-story detached one-car garage by constructing a one-story addition along with a portion of the south wall to contain a lounge area and bathroom. Committee has before it copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and 5 photographs of the subject property. Oh,
Through you,
hello,
Mr. Chair,
sir.
we have the here in person.
Great. Name and address, please.
Yale Massey, 10 Millicent Street.
All right. So you are just looking at coverage. So you're putting an addition on the existing garage, but using it for a lounge area and a bathroom. It's not going to be used for habitable space.
No.
Not for like a laneway or garden suite.
No, not that. It's just for a lounge area for a little extra space, and to enjoy the backyard. We would be going, let's see, 2.97 meters deep and 3.43 meters wide. And yeah, that's.
And you're not seeking a height variance?
No.
Okay. All right, panel, any questions? See none. Thank you for coming down, sir. We'll take this into committee. Dylan?
Sure. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I don't see it being used for residential purposes. I don't think it has any significant impact on anyone, so I'm happy to move approval.
Right. Nothing, no conditions. So motion by Mr. Reed to approve, no conditions.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you for
great.
coming down.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is 246 Markham Street. This is an application to construct a new 2-story ancillary building with a skylight containing a tandem 2-car garage with bicycle storage on the ground floor and 1 laneway suite on the portion of the ground level and entirely on the second level. in the rear yard abutting the laneway. Also, there will be a new hard landscaping area between the main dwelling and the ancillary building and a widened driveway access from the rear laneway to the ancillary building. There will be a total of 2 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property, covering letter from the agent, previous decision number affecting the subject property, and email correspondence from the agent. We have staff reports from Urban Forestry and 1 form letter in support from 248 Markham Street. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is William Joannou, Joannou. I'm at 30 Furnival Road in East York, and I'm agent on behalf of the owner of 246 Markham Street.
Great, sir. Now, you were previously refused
Yes.
on an application, so maybe you could give us a little bit of an overview of your application, but specifically, noting what has changed since you were
Yes.
here previously.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I think that there's a correction needed on the agenda as well.
How's that?
I believe that from what I remember from the materials for variance 3, I think that the number is incorrect.
I'll address
All right.
that.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
You're going to speak to that?
There's also another correction in the preamble on the variances where it says hard landscaping of the rear yard. That's been removed. It's all back to sod except little paver stones to get to
All right.
proposed.
So the change you're proposing would be to remove, in the second sentence, to remove, also there'll be new hard landscaping.
That's right.
So that sentence starts with a widened driveway access?
That's a separate variance.
No, I understand that, but I'm just trying to get the purpose edited properly.
Basically, the correction is there's no hard landscaping. The previous proposal had wall-to-wall rear yard in Equistone or interlock or whatever.
I understand. What I'm trying to do is just, for the record,
Yes.
making sure we have the correct wording in the description.
The widening of the driveway facing the laneway from the ground floor garage entrance, we've left it in place, and I'll explain why.
All right, so again, so what I think we'll do with your approval is remove, you see it up there where it says also, so we'll remove the first part of that sentence and start that sentence with a widened driveway.
Yes, you can
Okay,
do
so
that.
I'm just trying to get the record clear.
Sure.
And while we're at it, why don't we deal, if there's a change in variance number 3, let's deal with that right off the top.
Okay, right off the top, our drawing showed a reduction in the overall length of the auxiliary building from 12.24 to 11.25 meters. We've
Okay,
cut
so-
it back by 1 meter.
Okay, so we will amend, we will amend that variance to read, instead of a length of 12, it says 12.25.
Yes.
You want that amended to be 11.25.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, a little bit of history. We were here previously, and it was much longer, much taller, on and on, shorter separation between the main house and the laneway home. And it was deferred previously for a forestry issue that all got resolved fully. So we have full support from forestry. So then it was not looked at favorably because of the extra height, the extra length, and everything else. But the committee left me with very specific things to address should we pursue another minor variance application. So we took that to heart and learned from it. And under variance 1, green space in the rear yard, the leftover rear yard, because we increased the separation by 1 meter, we've increased the green space. We've deleted all the solid wall-to-wall paving, like patio, to sod. We've only left a few paver stones to access the garage door and the second suite. So the green space has been increased by that 1 meter times the width of the lot. Variance 2, separation at rear. As I mentioned, we've cut the building back to what could reasonably work for us. We're trying to achieve 2 parking spots on the ground floor and an entrance to the second floor, and a reasonable proposal for new housing. It's not worth it to our client to make it a studio or something like that. He's targeting 2 adults or a small family and trying to achieve 2 bedrooms on the second floor. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to do anything else, considering the cost nowadays. So the separation's increased, and that was also one of the recommendations the committee did advise us of last time. The length's been shortened by 1 meter on the garden side. The height has been reduced by 0.72 meters, which is the lowest we can achieve to get a reasonable, roughly 8-foot ceiling space, understanding that the garage height could be lowered a little more, but we have duct work running to access the second floor, and we can't throttle it back anymore. So we have cut it down just under a meter in overall height to 6.31 from 7.03. Next variance, number 5, which is the skylight. Variance number 5 for the skylight protrusion. We have a flat, slightly sloped roof for drainage. And that variance came into effect because it's measured for a much lower height, an imaginary line. If the overall height is approved today, hopefully, then the skylight is a non-issue. But an overall effect, if 6.31 meters is accepted, because of the slope of the roof, the skylight does not protrude higher than that maximum height that we're proposing. On the coverage side, 30% is allowed in total for this property, and we're coming in at 30.04 after reducing it slightly, which is 0.4% over. And in this crowded neighborhood, and the fact that we do need these 2 parking spots to remove 2 spaces from Markham Street, which is a nightmare to park at, and trying to achieve a reasonable house above it, I don't think that's out of line for a minor variance. The last item is the driveway width, which is the one between the laneway accessing our garage. Because of our very, very narrow lot, it's only 16 feet wide, and our garage door proposed is 12 feet wide. And that's to allow for a proper access and turning radius in and out of that garage. Across from the laneway, there's all manner of hydro poles and interruptions that make it almost impossible for us to effectively gain access to our garage. So we're requesting that the concrete driveway apron, we call it, is allowed to be the same width, 12 feet of the garage door. That leaves a little bit of gravel on either side that represents the landscape portion, the soft portion. And if you know this laneway in that area, it's a wasteland of concrete, dry ground, a little bit of gravel. There's no green space that will survive there, it never has. And we need that access more than a useless bit of green. We've complemented by increasing the green part on the yard side. So
right,
we're
sir.
hopeful that we'll meet a more favorable outcome this time.
Great, thank you very much. I just confirming, it looks like it is. So the site plan is showing the revised length, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But
All right.
somehow it didn't get
Yeah,
through
no
to
worries. All right, panel, any questions? Ann?
Just some clarity. So the removal of the hard landscaping between the main house and the ancillary. Does that change variance number 1 about soft landscaping?
The calculations, I believe, were rehashed in our statistics on our drawings and submitted for a rezoning, I guess, amendment. And that's where these variances came from. So that calculation has been taken into account.
Okay.
We submitted new, total area minus our little paving blocks to access it, so
Right.
you don't sink into the sand. And what is left over is green space.
Right.
We're not,
Which is more than what was there before.
yes.
Okay.
Previously, from the laneway to the back door of the house, it was solid concrete.
Okay, so you're pulling some of the concrete and replacing it with
A lot
sod
of it,
wherever,
yes.
looks
Yeah.
like from the site plan, wherever you can.
Yeah, if you look at the photographs, the record photographs that are on file, it was a concrete parking
Yeah.
lot before.
Yeah, not uncommon in this area.
Very common.
All right, thank you. Ann, is that good?
Yes, thanks.
Dylan, any questions?
Yeah, just to follow up on that. So was it previously basically all being used for parking for 2 cars?
They had up to 3 cars back there.
Okay. Thank you.
In history,
Yeah.
But it was just a wasteland.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank
We'll
you.
take this into committee.
Um,
Dylan?
yeah, I'm still not super enthusiastic about this because I feel like this area really 1-car garages should be all that's needed. But I recognize that they have made an effort to improve this. And I look particularly at the lot coverage, which is barely over what's allowed. I think that kind of speaks to the idea that it's not unreasonable to have a structure covering this much of the lot. So I think with these changes, I would much rather see a 1-car garage with a studio, but I understand that maybe that's not economically feasible. So I think I can reluctantly support this.
Yeah, I think I was here when you were here
Yes, you were,
previously.
yes.
And it was, when you brought it forward that time, it exceeded just about every requirement of the bylaw. So I think you and your client should be commended for taking the advice of the committee, going back and making the changes that you have so that you've really minimized the variances. So
It shows the owner's commitment to this.
Yeah.
He wants to realize it.
I think, given the changes that have been made, I think it is now a reasonable application. There is no opposition. Clearly, the neighbors and neighborhood is not uncomfortable with this application. I do note that there are some, along the laneway, there are a number of what looks like taller structures, ancillary structures there as well. So
There are.
I don't think it would be out of context. So I think it's supportable. Dylan, did you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve this. I don't think there's any conditions. Oh, there is. Forestry 2.
Forestry 2,
Oh,
yeah.
Forestry 2.
Okay. Seconded by Ms.
Through
Crawford.
you, Mr. Chair, as amended.
As amended, thank you very
As
much.
amended, yes.
Motion by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? Sir, you have your approval.
Thank you. On Forestry 2 comment, I thought we cleared forestry. We're keeping.
If you
a
have
tree and-
cleared them, then you will have no trouble meeting that condition.
Yeah, we're aware that once this starts to be developed, goes into permit stage,
Yeah.
forestry will take another look.
Yeah.
Protect the roots,
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
We've got services and whatnot. We're aware of that.
Yeah, okay, good.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, sir. All right, we move on to item number 6. This is 11 Northcote Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached fourplex with side, side cantilevered second and third stories, a rear ground, ground covered, a rear covered ground floor deck with stairs, a front second-story balcony, front third-story balcony, a rear second-story balcony, front and rear basement walkouts with patios, and a side basement level patio. Also construct a new two-story laneway suite with a rear cantilevered second story in the rear yard abutting the laneway. There'll be a total of 5 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have staff reports from Urban Forestry and Metrolinx. There's correspondence and opposition, 2 pieces from 19th Northcote.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
All right. Mr. Perez.
Hello, good morning, Chairman and committee members. My name's Eddie Perez. We're at 537 Rogers Road. As you can see, we're proposing 4-unit dwelling, and we're also proposing a laneway suite at the back. If you put up the site plan, the actual proposal is a little shorter than the existing house that's there. If you see the dotted lines is where the rear goes to, and the garage is a little bit towards the backyard. We made the laneway suite shorter, and so we have more green in the back. We comply with the green in the back. We're very slightly short of green in the front, but not by much. Instead of I have it here on it's just a second. Yeah, instead of the percentage is, the front is 85%, and we have 43 in this case. Wait. Yeah, that's correct. 1 second. I'm looking at the other one I had. So.
I think you have 55.
Yeah, 68%. Instead of 75, we have 68%. Yeah, we're very slight on the front, but we're willing to comply with that one, so we can eliminate that one.
Sorry, Eddie. So just to be clear, you're eliminating
Number 4.
variance number 4? Okay.
Yeah, we can make the front yard landscaping comply.
Okay.
That's great.
And before you, as you can see, the variances are minor in nature. And in this area, there's a Costco across the, not a Costco, Food Basic across the street. And then on the main street on Queen Street, it's all 4-story and 5-story buildings. So I feel that it's in character with the area. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so so it's currently a semi?
It's not a semi. It actually has separate walls.
Okay,
They're just attached together, but they're not semis.
Okay, because it looks like from the image on the front, it does look like it's a semi building.
Yeah, it does, but we verified they have separate foundations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're a little light in the rear yard landscaping, so can we pull up the site plan? Are you doing permeable pavers for the walkways?
Well, we're not, but we can. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think 85% seems like a pretty high standard, but if you were open to making your pathways permeable, that might be helpful.
But we don't have a variance for that one. We're okay with adding.
Variance number 6?
Variant 6.
Variance
Oh, yeah,
6?
55. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's considerably light.
Yeah, but it's a lot more than what's there now, but we're willing to put permeable pavers. We don't have a problem with that.
Okay. All right, panel, any questions?
Yeah, a couple questions.
Dylan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you could. I know we don't have an opposition person here, but the neighbors wrote in. So just a couple of questions. First of all, so you've shifted the whole building a little bit, shifted the walls. I was just wondering if you could explain why you did that, because you shifted it towards the north, close to the north neighbor, basically.
Yeah, we left the walkway on the opposite side because of the proximity of the houses, and that's why we proposed it on the north side instead. And the north side, the neighbors are actually right on the property line, and their foundations are way lower, so we won't impact their foundation. We verified that as well, so that was the reasoning for moving the house to that side.
Okay, thank you, that makes sense. The neighbor was also asking about waste storage, like how you're planning to manage that, because it's not clear where the waste bins are gonna be stored.
Yeah, the waste storage, it'll be mostly in the front property. They'll have to build some nice structure to put all the waste bins inside. And then they can, but that'll be done with this, with the city after. We'll deal with that part of it.
Oh, you're planning to
And
build
also-
it on, are you planning to build it on the city property area?
Well, most people put it on that, and because the lots are all close to the property lines.
Right.
Like
Okay.
even next, the stairs are right on the property line.
Yeah.
It's been walkouts, so most people are putting the bins in the front lawn and that, so. But they'll make a nice storage for it over there, and we can also store some in the back for the rear units, because the way it's separated. But we'll make sure that we make it work. It won't be a problem for the neighbors.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, no further questions. Thank you. We'll take it into committee. Ann?
I would move for approval of this application. The fourplex.
Through the chair, Member Crawford, is your mic on?
It is. Maybe I'm talking too far from it.
Thank you.
I would move for approval of the application. It's a fourplex, which is as of right accomplishing 5 residential units, so it's great density for the lot. It's consistent with the neighborhood. The variances are minor. Maybe the most significant was the soft landscaping between the 2 buildings, but the applicant has said they can do permeable pavers. I would move for approval with urban forestry condition 1, and I think Metrolinx needs an easement, an environmental easement on title.
Yeah, we typically don't impose that condition. And
Yeah,
I have
no,
forestry
this
1
is-
and 3. 1 and 3?
We do have the Metrolinx, the usual warning clause.
Yeah, it's just a warning clause, but it's not the environmental easement. We typically
It's
don't
the
impose
one we
that.
usually put in, I think. Isn't it?
Through
I
the
thought it was the
chair,
usual one.
through the chair, so it's urban forestry condition number 1 and number 3, and the Metrolinx warning clause condition.
Right. Okay. All right. And a condition, we'll put the condition in, Ann, about the permeable pavers in the rear yard for the walkways. Okay. All right, motion by Ms. Crawford with those conditions, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor?
And through the chair, sorry, it's amended application.
Amended application, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Move on to item number 7, which is 30 Pendrith Street. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by extending the rear second-story balcony by reconstructing the rear exterior platform leading to the second level. Also to alter the existing rear 1-story detached ancillary building by constructing a complete second-story addition to contain 1 laneway suite and with a side exterior platform to access the second level. The existing ground floor deck on the south side of the ancillary building will be maintained and unaltered. Committee has before it copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations received March the 2nd. We have 5 photographs of the subject property and a covering letter from the agent.
Through
Mr.
you,
Perez,
Mr.
you're up
Chair.
again.
We have the agent here in person and online.
Yeah.
And no other registered speakers.
Yeah, Mr. Perez.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning again, Chairman and committee members. As you can see, we're proposing to put a suite on top of an existing garage. If you could put up the pictures from the garage itself, the reason for the height variance is because there's an existing two steel beams and 2x8s that are in place, and we would like to use that moving forward because it's structurally sound, and we just wanted to add a second floor above. That's why the height is higher, and also if you put the elevation, the laneway suite itself is and in the rear yard is different height than in the laneway, and the laneway pretty well complies with the height. And for the soft landscaping itself, as you can see on the pictures, there is no landscaping whatsoever now. And the landscaping that we're proposing, it's gonna be all new, because now all you see there is interlocking and gravel. But we're gonna be proposing new landscaping as per our site plan. It still doesn't comply with the number that the city is looking for, but it's a great improvement from what's there at this point. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Hey, I did make a note of the height. You're almost a meter above what's allowed, and you do have a flat roof here. And it looks like from the plans, your first story is 12 feet high, which is quite high, and obviously contributing to the overall height. And I appreciate that there are beams in there you'd like to utilize, but are you wed to that height? I mean, I mean, if it was a peaked roof, it'd be different, but you're a flat roof and you're 7 meters.
Yeah, I talked with planning, and planning is okay with it because we send them the revise. And as you can see, we're not even asking for a higher second floor. We're only asking for 8 feet on the second. So it's not like we're overdoing it. As you know, most people want 9 feet on the second, or in some cases even more, but we're only asking for 8, and planning has no issue with it. So, and I already got a party wall letter for the neighbor, so he's okay with that existing wall to go all the way up, because he has a party wall on that side. So in my opinion, I feel that it's very minor in nature, and it's slightly over, but it's over because of the way it's measured too. At the back, it's higher than at the garage level. So at the garage level, it's not much higher than what we're allowed.
Sorry, can you just explain that again? You said from the laneway, it doesn't look as high as is that just because of grade change?
Correct. In the backyard, the grade is lower than in the laneway.
Okay.
Yeah, in the laneway, it's 6.68. We have a dimension there. And the average grade goes lower to the other dotted lines, which makes it the average from the back to the front. So technically in the laneway, we're only 58 centimeters over.
Okay.
It's just the way it is. And then the structure's all sound. It would be a lot of work to remove all that. And as per planning, they're on board, and we have no neighbor opposition. So I feel that this is very minor in nature and meets the fourth test. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Dylan?
Quick question. Just confirming, so the laneway house is the 7.5 meters away from the main house, right? Like I see the variance for the height, but I don't see the variance for the distance between.
No, we're okay with the 7.5. We're way over that.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, we have like 10 meters from the house.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And as for the balcony that's proposing on the house itself, we already got a zoning certificate for that, so that doesn't need any variances.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll take it into committee.
I'm happy to take this one.
Yep, go ahead, Dylan.
Obviously I was concerned about the height too, but I find the explanation makes sense. There's an existing structure there. It doesn't make sense to try to demolish it. Also it's a good distance from the main house. I feel like that really mitigates the height. Otherwise it's certainly a desirable. Also, I really appreciate that it's on the same footprint. They've managed to put a nice 1-bedroom laneway house on the existing footprint. They're not expanding that, which I think is really, I appreciate that a lot. Plus there's improvements for the soft landscaping. So I think this is a good proposal, and I'm happy to move approval.
All right, motion.
Oh, as revised, because was there a revision? No, there wasn't.
No, and not on this one, the previous one.
Not on this one. Okay, sorry. It was an earlier revision. Yeah, okay. So I'm happy to move approval with no conditions.
Okay, Ann, do you have any comments?
No, I'll
Okay.
second that.
Motion by Mr. Reed to approve, seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval. 2 for 2, Eddie. We move on to item number 8, 1539 Eglinton Avenue West. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story mixed-use building by constructing a front ground floor addition, a side 3rd-story addition, a rear basement walkout, and a rear basement window well. Also to permit a residential use in the rear portion of the ground floor and basement level of the building. 4 short-term bicycle parking spaces will be installed in the rear yard, and 1 existing rear yard parking space located on the south portion of the lot will be relocated to the southwest corner of the lot. There will be a total of 5 residential dwelling units, 1 commercial unit on this lot. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees, 4 photographs of the subject property, covering letter from the agent, and a rental housing demolition and conversion declaration of use and screening form. So we have a staff report from Metrolinx, who has correspondence and concern from 2215 Roddick Road.
Through you, Mr.
good
Chair.
morning.
We have the agent here in person to speak, and we have 1 registered speaker for the item online.
All right. Morning, sir.
Microphone.
It's been 6 years since I've been here in person.
Well, we cleaned it up for you.
It looks different. Yeah, I'm Barry Goldman. I'm the agent for this application. I understand there is 1 speaker, so I'll make a very brief presentation.
Great, thank you.
The modifications we're proposing to the existing building are quite modest. We're aligning the front wall with the existing adjacent neighbors. Technically an addition, but we're not going beyond the existing building footprint. They'd set the rear wall, the storefront on the ground floor back a little bit. We're just moving it forward. Additionally, on the 3rd floor, we are building a new staircase into the light well, so there's a small addition. Again, we're within the existing footprint of the building. That 3rd floor addition is to accommodate a scissor stair in the middle of the building to provide our 2 means of egress from the center. So yes, additions, however, not going beyond the existing building footprint. Primarily what we're trying to achieve is reducing the amount of commercial use in the building and adding more, I'll say, good residential units. I'm happy to go through the individual variances if you'd like, but really that is the gist of the proposal here.
Okay. I think we'll hold that, Mr. Goldman, to questions if we have any. We have a speaker online. Good morning, Mr. Farb.
Oh, no. Sorry, I don't have anything to say. I'm supportive.
Oh, you're in support. I thought there was someone in concern, but that's not, you're not that person. All right. Thank you. Any questions of the agent? Guys okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Goldman. We don't have any questions. We'll take it into committee.
Okay.
All right. Who wants this one? Dylan?
Ann, do you want to do it?
Can we discuss?
Sure, absolutely.
So I guess the one concern is variance, I think it's number 4, because it's a change of use, which is,
Did you want to come out of committee and ask the agent about that?
okay.
Okay, back out of the committee. Mr. Goldman, could you just talk about variance number 4, please?
Certainly. So currently, the existing building has residential use on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And the ground floor and basement are exclusively commercial use. And what we're proposing to do is put a residential use in the back half of the ground and basement floors, preserving the commercial use fronting onto Eglinton. So really from the street, it will look the same. There will still be a commercial storefront at the front, and that commercial use will be accessed through the front door in the building, pretty much exactly as it is now. But the commercial space will be reduced by roughly 50%. That's not an accurate number. If you look at the plans, you can see the ground floor and basement. I'm just flipping through. But broadly speaking, we're taking about half of the ground floor and basement and putting a two-story residential unit in the back half that occupies the ground and basement. And really, that's the variance. The second and third floor, we're reconfiguring, but those are existing residential uses to remain. And effectively, what we're here at the committee to get approved is essentially that ground floor and basement two-story residential unit off the rear.
Okay.
And so the front half of the first floor is commercial?
The front half of the ground and basement floors will remain commercial. There will still be a commercial storefront on Eglinton, and it will look more or less like it looks now. Nicer, but commercial storefront.
So it's minimal exterior changes.
Very little. We're just realigning our storefront with the adjacent units on either side in line with the second and third floors above.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Ann?
Yes.
All right. Now, Dylan, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, let's go back into committee. All right, so, and does that satisfy your concern?
I believe it does, because the sort of intent of the zoning is met, with the change being minimal to the exterior, to the storefront, so, yeah.
And it retains the commercial on a commercial street. Okay. Dylan, any thoughts?
Just that I think the commercial does remain viable because they still have the basement for storage as well.
Yeah.
I think if it was just that tiny storefront, that might not be viable, but they do have a whole basement section for, storage and everything. So I think that keeps it viable.
Okay, great. Anyone want to try a motion? Ann?
I would move to approve the
Are you
application.
just a little closer to your microphone?
I will move to approve the application. The variances are minor and have been adequately explained by the applicant. There's a Metrolinx, so that's condition
there
number
is.
4. It's in the LRT corridor. Need prior approval of construction, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Ms. Crawford with the condition, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Item, what time is it? Everyone okay to keep going? Dylan, how you hang?
I'm surviving.
Okay. All right, we'll push
Did a
on.
couple more at least.
Item number 9, 212 Rosemary Road. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with an integral garage and a widened driveway, a covered front porch with stairs, a rear 3rd-story balcony, and a rear partially covered ground floor patio. Also to construct a new in-ground swimming pool in the rear yard. The existing rear in-ground swimming pool and concrete pad will be removed. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations, 4 photographs of the subject property, presentation materials from the agent, staff reports from Urban Forestry, and 3 form letters in support from 206, 218 Richview, and 312 Rosemary Road.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak and no other registered speakers for the item.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the panel, Franco Romano, Action Planning 321 Lakeshore.
Franco, maybe just a quick overview of this one. It's a new build.
Thanks, Seth, for bringing up those slides. So what I'm showing on slide number 1 is on the left-hand side an air photograph of the street. It's most of the street, and outlined in yellow on the right-hand side of that of the site is the proposed dwelling, and on the left-hand side, the location of the proposed pool. On the right-hand side of the slide is a site plan. So the site currently has, we'll deal with the pool first. The site currently has a swimming pool in the backyard, and much of the backyard is a swimming pool and a concrete pad around the pool. So most of the backyard is concrete. Proposal is to have the swimming pool located 1.03 meters from that top or north side lot line, whereas 1.2 meters is required. Much of that existing concrete is going to be removed, and that's basically the location of the pool. The pool overlaps the existing pool and that concrete, and then there'll be soft landscaping replacing it. So there is no soft landscaping variance in the backyard. In terms of the dwelling itself, the dwelling is proposed to be 3 stories with a 3rd floor built into the roof line. In terms of the length, it is an articulated length and depth. It goes from about 20.42 meters to 22.85 meters. If we go back to the site plan, you'll see that on the site plan. It's articulated. Along the street, building lengths and depths exceed 25 meters, and we'll see that in part on that air photograph that you'll see. In terms of the proposed length and depth, it's pretty compatible with what's happening, and even in the articulated fashion. The driveway basically overlaps the existing driveway. It does allow for some side-to-side parking to occur, and that condition also is shown on the air photograph, where you've seen some driveways that are even wider than what's proposed. To go to the second slide, please, staff, you can see that in terms of floor space index over the 3 floors, the proposal is at 0. Sorry, I gotta flip this. Just flip this over. 0.89, and about just over 30% of the properties exceed or are at 0.89. And what I'm showing in purple here are those properties that are larger than the existing permission of 0.65, and that's over 54% of properties. If I go to the next slide, you'll see that, thank you, staff, that additional floor space index is, to get to the 0.89 is only within the roof line. And the building itself is lower in wall height and lower in overall height than the zoning permissions. So we have 11 meters permitted. It's 9.96 in terms of overall height, and the wall height is 2.1 meters lower than the wall height that's permitted. And absent the 3rd floor GFA, the floor space index is at 0.72, which is pretty modest compared to what's happening along the street and in the neighborhood. So I would submit that the variance request is minor in nature. It's an appropriate form of redevelopment, and there's some improvements that are happening in terms of soft landscaping, both in the front and in the back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Questions? Dylan, no questions?
I guess just confirming. So the length is a bit long, but you're saying that that's actually similar to quite a few other houses on the street?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct. We'll see next door, immediately to the north, that building is a little bit forward of the proposed building. It's a little shorter, but it's very comparable. And other dwellings on that street, in excess of 22 meters, there's about 3 or 4 of them, up to 25.6 meters. So it's pretty common to have that type of building length and depth. And some of those building lengths and depths are with flat roof dwellings, so they extend in terms of mass a little larger than what is being proposed here, given the lower height that is being proposed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's take this into committee.
I'm happy to take this one.
Sure, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit long, but I take the agent's point that this is common in the area. And I do appreciate that the third floor has been set back inside the roof. I think that really helps mitigate the massing. So I'm happy to move approval with forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Yeah, just to add that this neighborhood is characterized by big lots, big homes, and it's not uncommon when proposals for new builds in this neighborhood to get some opposition. And in this case, there is no opposition. In fact, there is pretty solid support, which I think speaks to the design and its compatibility with the rest of the neighborhood. So motion, so I'll just get back to motion by Mr. Reed to approve, subject to the forestry conditions. Ms. Crawford, are you seconding?
I will second.
Seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Item number 10. (22) Brock Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story townhouse dwelling by constructing a front basement walkout, a rear 2-story addition, replacing the existing 1-story addition, and a 2nd-story deck and a 3rd-story addition. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of the subject property with a covering letter from the agent, and a allowable building mass section plan from the agent. We have an advisory report from Metrolinx, and we have correspondence and support from 20 Brock Avenue right next door.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak and no other registered speakers for this item.
Good morning.
Good morning. Andrew Trotter, 81 St. Clarence Avenue, Toronto.
Thank you. Why don't we just do a quick overview, Andrew?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing, we did talk extensively with both the neighbors. We did get the support from the one. The other one just didn't really make any verbal commitment. I just wanted to note that I got so focused on dealing with the neighbors, I forgot about one thing we can do is improve the soft landscaping in the backyard to 20. Sorry, let me just get that up again.
So you're at 14% right now, right?
I think we're at 12 for the backyard, and we can improve that to 22%. And
Well,
that
just
would
to be clear, let's pull up variance number 3.
Yes.
It says 14.4.
Oh, about. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I had that in the site plan. Yes. Yeah, we can improve that to 20%.
20%. So 20%, and what's the square meterage?
Sorry, pardon me, 22% at 18.67 meters squared.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, we can improve that. And then the front entrance for the walkout, like it literally the property just fits the front step and the walkout, but you know the yard is fully grass. I mean, from the walkout to the sidewalk is grass with a concrete walkway. And then I don't really know what else to add. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. I think the question we mostly had was about the landscaping, so that's good that you've changed that. Does the 2nd-story balcony need screening? I mean, it's a fairly tight urban form.
Sure, we wouldn't be opposed to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, panel, any questions?
No.
Dylan, none?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's go into committee. Ann, go ahead.
I would move for approval of this application. The most significant variances were the soft landscaping, and the rear yard variance has been improved. And the front yard, you can see from the photo, is an existing condition and very limited and not being changed. So I would move for approval given the minor nature of the variances.
So this is an amended application? And would you like to have a condition for screening on both sides of the second-story balcony?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, motion by Ms. Crawford to approve with those conditions. The amended application, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You have your approval. Bill, you need a little short 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure. That'd be helpful.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break.
Okay, through the chair, members, please turn off your videos and mute your microphones. Thank you. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
Staff, can you please mute the room as well? Thank you.
Okay. We resume. All right, we resume with item number 11, 125 Ava Road. This is an application to construct a new two-story detached dwelling with a front integral garage, a front covered porch with stairs, a side porch with stairs, a rear basement walkout, and a rear ground floor concrete deck with stairs. Also to reconstruct the front driveway abutting Ava Road. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 7 photographs of trees on the subject property, previous decision number affecting the subject property, and an arborist report and tree protection plan. There are 7 form letters in support from 121, 124, 126, 129 Ava Road, and 52 Avenel Drive. There is also correspondence form letters from 123 Ava Road and 155 Glen Cedar Road. There's correspondence in opposition from 127 Ava Road.
You, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak. We have 2 registered speakers here in person in opposition. We'll first start off with the agent.
Great, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner. My address is 193 Rowe Avenue.
All right, sir. We have some folks who want to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation, please.
Sure. I will briefly go over the variances. So the proposal today is for a new dwelling. We have 7 variances, starting with number 1, rear yard setback variance, which is quite technical. The only reason it's actually required is because we're excavating under the rear deck. So as a result, the rearmost portion of the deck is considered the rearmost portion of the house, and that is encroaching into the rear yard setback. But if we were not excavating underneath the rear deck, we would not need this variance. We would fully comply. Variance number 2 is similar in that it's technical in nature, has to do with the length of the house. We're proposing 21.11 meters. That's measured to the rearmost portion of the deck because we are excavating under that deck. So that's considered the rearmost portion of the house. But I'd like the committee just to be clear that the house itself, the above ground portion of the house is only 17 meters deep. So it does comply to the maximum permitted 17 meter length. If we weren't excavating under the rear deck, we would not need variance number 2 either. Variance number 3 has to do with the FSI. We're asking for 74% where 40% is required. Percentages up to about 95% are regularly approved by committee. So 74% is definitely in keeping with what's been approved in the past. Variance number 4 has to do with the west side yard setback. Excuse me. We are asking just for if staff could put up the site plan, please. You will see that on the west side of the proposed house, this setback is only required for the rear half of the house. You can see we comply to the 4-foot side yard setback fully on the east side, and on the west side for the front half of the house, we fully comply to the 4-foot setback. You can see right there how it kind of just jogs out. And again, pretty common for the area actually to have a 0.6 meter side yard setback for the full length of a house. In this case, we're asking for 0.76 only for the rear half of the house, as far as the west side setback is concerned. The driveway width, that's an existing, that variance number 5, that's an existing condition. We would just like to maintain the existing driveway. We do comply, it's important to note, we do comply to front yard landscaping. So that's generally an existing, and the curb cut and the width of the driveway from the street is all existing, and we would just like to maintain that. Variance number 6 has to do with a small side entrance we have in a small platform that's just encroaching 1 extra foot closer to the west property line. Excuse me again. So again, very minor. You can see that little kind of halfway down the house on the west side, that little platform there is just coming 1 foot closer, exactly 1 foot closer to the side property line than what is permitted. It's supposed to be at 2 feet. But since most likely it's just going to end up potentially being a fence there, there's zero impact on anybody or anything. And then finally, variance number 7, again, very technical in nature, having to do with the building depth. Again, measured to, because we're excavating under the rear deck, the house is being measured to the rearmost portion of the rear deck, and that's included in the building depth calculation. But the above ground portion does comply to the 19 meters, and the only reason this variance is required is because we are excavating under the rear deck. We would not require it if we were not excavating under the rear deck. So again, just to stress that the shell of this building, except for that portion on the west side that bumps out the extra 1.5 feet, the overall shell of this house totally complies to the bylaw. We comply to height, wall height. For all intents and purposes, the majority of the side setbacks comply, length, depth. So that all kind of complies. The planning staff had no issue. Forestry had no issues. The house, in my opinion, is totally in keeping with what's been approved and built in the past and meets all the 4 tests. Thank you.
All right, sir. So can you just speak to, you were previously here, or someone was here a couple years ago getting approval for a rear 2-story addition. Did that proceed, or is this overtaken that?
This has overtaken that. I was not involved with that application, but I can tell you that that rear addition was never done.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll hold questions until we hear from the other folks.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll start with the first speaker from 127 Ava Road.
All right. Good morning, sir. Ma'am, sir?
That's me. Good morning.
Hi, name and address, please, for the record.
Dan Barak, 127 Ava Road.
All right, sir, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to start by saying that I'm not used to this setting, and I'm here on behalf of my family. I'm not an architect or a city planner, and we really like our neighbors on 125 Ava, and socially it feels uncomfortable to be here and express our opposition. That said, the application concerns us, and it was important for me to appear before the committee to express this opposition in person. The requested variances that are being discussed are, I think, a result of the densification or intensification, whatever the term is, at 127 Ava. I know the city has a goal to increase densification to address shortage in housing and affordability. But the increased densification at 125 Ava doesn't serve that goal. It is just for a single family dwelling. The variance on the FSI is quite high, I think. It's 85% over what the bylaw permits. I don't think that should be considered minor. And the FSI variance is the principal driver behind many of the other requested variances. And the variances that are requested are interconnected to one another, and the cumulative effect is dramatic. So instead of looking at each one separately, I think if we look at them together, it's quite dramatic. So on the On the rear yard setback, the reduction in rear yard setback combined with the placement of the proposed deck does result in significant loss of privacy for neighboring property. Somebody standing on that rear yard deck, which is only there because, you know, they're building a concrete deck, given the extra excavation. Somebody standing there on where a barbecue would probably go would be looking directly into our kitchen, living room, master bedroom, and master bathroom, with pretty direct line of sight given how far back this house would go. The building length and depth, I think, is a result of that rear yard setback, so those two are related. The side yard setback, this is the one that's particularly concerning to us. The plan indicates multiple windows along this side of the house, including windows for exercise, bedroom, and laundry. And with the reduced setback, these windows would create multiple vantage points into our property. And we asked that side yard variance would be denied. It would significantly increase overlooking into our property and negatively affect our privacy. On the exterior side stairs, again, the crux of the issue is that it's interrelated with that side yard setback. So they're located extremely close to the property line in a way that you wouldn't really be able to use these stairs or get around them without encroaching onto our property and making foot traffic through our property effectively unavoidable. Anybody who wants to push a stroller to get to that deck walking around the house would have to basically, like, you can't fit a stroller, a walker, anything on a 1 foot distance. And that wouldn't be an issue if that rear yard, side yard setback wasn't, like variance wasn't there. And then lastly about the trees, and this has to do with that 2-story addition you discussed. Because of that side yard setback and the rear yard setback, we would be losing yet another tree. When they applied for that previous application, they already took a tree down. And this happened with a house that was built behind our lot, where, you know, you pay it feels like you pay the arborist the right amount of money and every tree is sick enough to need to come down. So there too, we would be losing a lot of character and greenery, which I don't think would have happened if it weren't for these variances. And I think that with a more reasonable FSI variance, I don't know what the right number is, but let's say it's a 50% above the bylaw, which to me sounds pretty significant. You can probably strike a better balance. You can probably avoid the yard setback variance completely and reduce the rear yard setback and still have a very lovely single family home. And I'd be more than happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you. Is your colleague speaking?
Yeah, I'm the neighbor on the other side.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Any questions of the speaker? No, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Name and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Hi, my name is Melanie Levkovich, and I'm at 123 Ava Road, so like I said, the neighbor on the other side.
Okay, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I had expressed my support for the project, but what happened was, Elle, who I know, came by, but knocked on my door when I was on my way out the door. And so after a superficial description of the project, I needed to be somewhere, and I gave my support. But when I had the chance to look at it more closely, I realized that the description I'd been, partly a function of the circumstance, but the description I had been given didn't reflect the scope of the work. And as we said, 85% over, almost twice the allowable square footage doesn't seem minor by any definition of the word minor. And then I also realized how it affected me personally with the length of the building and the deck. I would also experience the same loss of privacy that Dan described with the line of sight going directly into my kitchen and living space. I'm concerned about the loss of trees. I'm concerned about a project of that magnitude immediately next door to my property, you know, any consequences of damage or water damage, it seems like you know, there's no recourse for me. So, you know, I'm very concerned about the scope of the project. I feel like there have been a lot of houses in the neighborhood that have been done, and in general, I don't oppose them, but considering this is adjacent to my property, I feel like it's going to be affecting me personally, and I feel like because of the scope of the project, it's maybe not the right size lot to be doing it, and if, you know, I don't want to encroach on their dreams, but maybe they should find a lot that's more suited to the size of that building that they'd like to build. So, I mean, I support all the points that Dan made, and I just wanted to express my own personal concerns because I don't want to lose enjoyment and privacy on my property as a result of this project, and I want to express that to the committee.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, panel? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, we'll bring the agent back to respond to those concerns.
Yes, okay, thank you. So one thing first, if I may just speak about the rear deck. The rear deck is only going to be 1.5 feet above the ground level. That's actually lower than the existing deck that's currently there. So there won't be any overlook or anything. Most likely we're gonna have fences going on both sides. So when you're on that deck, you won't even be able to look over that, look over to the neighboring properties. As far as the FSI is concerned, again, very kind of typical for the neighborhood. In a lot of cases, it does go up to FSIs in the 90s when people have third stories, which is they are permitted in this neck of the woods. We only have a 2-story dwelling. I mean, I can list off some other projects I worked on along this kind of the same block pretty well, and we were granted percentages exactly the same in the mid 70s in every case at numbers 98 Ava, 114 Ava, 126 Ava, 174 Ava, 219 Ava, and those were just projects that fortunately I was lucky enough to work on. But I'm sure there's many others with higher percentages than that I did not have anything to do with. If staff could just put up the site plan for 1 second, please. Again, thank you for that. So on the west side, the side yard setback that we're asking for, again, it's only an additional 1.5 feet, and you can see how we have sort of we've abided by the 4-foot setback or the 1.2 meter setback for the front half of the house, where the neighboring house to the west, number 127, where that house is closer, we moved our house away. Okay, and just for the record, the setback at number 127, that's only a 0.6 meter, or a 2-foot side yard setback. We're asking for 2.5 feet for the rear half of the house, and you can see how we have pulled out and we're proposing our setback to be kind of in line with where number 127's house steps further away. So the kind of the setbacks sort of, mimic one another and follow one another in an attempt to minimize the impact on the adjacent property. As far as the length is concerned, again, these length variances and depth variances and the rear deck variance, all required only because we are excavating under the deck. From an above ground point of view, the house would be identical. And again, it fully conforms. Our house is only 17 meters deep, and that's the maximum permitted depth allowed as per the bylaw. Just trying to think if there's anything else I didn't touch upon. As far as the trees are concerned, we have an arborist on board. We've posted the arborist report. We're getting all appropriate permits. Whatever the city wants in that regard, we of course will follow. And I believe I've addressed most issues. Again, I truly believe this meets the 4th test, and it's really in keeping what has been approved and what has been built in the neighborhood in the past. Thank you very much.
All right, sir, thank you. I just want to go back to the previous approval. You or your client or previous owner was approved for a 2-story addition off to the rear that had a length of 18.93 meters, almost 19 meters. So that would have been a 2-story addition off the back that would have been 19 meters. And you indicated that the actual structure of your current proposal is only 17 meters. So is it our understanding that the previous approval would have been longer than what you're asking for today?
You are 100% correct.
Okay. And the FSI, the current FSI of the building, it would be, I would imagine, more than 0.4.
Yes, correct. And just if I may add, again, I've been fortunate enough to work on many properties in the Cedarville area. I can, in 25 years of doing this, in all honesty, there was one house that I worked on because of, various issues here or there, that we maintained the FSI at 40%. When we did a rear addition to that one house in 25 years. This 40%, unfortunately, is a little unrealistic. And it's very difficult to abide by. And the vast majority of homes in this area exist at well over 40% before doing any additions or going to committee of adjustment for anything. The vast majority of existing houses are well over 40%.
Okay.
That is as normal as it gets for the neighborhood.
And lastly, is there fencing or some sort of shrubbery or something between this property and the adjacent properties?
You know what? Offhand, I can't recall if there currently is, but there will be after.
Okay, so you will be.
This is done.
Yeah, so there'll be fencing between.
Yes.
And you noted that the rear deck is pretty close to ground level. It's only a foot or so above ground level.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, panel. Dylan?
I've got some questions. Yeah. So the side staircase is very close to the neighbor, and that's one of the variances. Can you explain why you need an entrance on the side when you have one already at the front and out of the garage?
Well, this is just a side entry into like a small mudroom area into the house, which is quite common, just to have a side entry into a house. And again, we are only 1 foot closer than what the bylaw permits. And once a fence is built there, the neighbors will not be able to see how far that small porch area is from the side property line. And main access to the backyard, just if I may add, because one of the neighbors commented about it, how you can't get through that 1 foot. The main access to the backyard is on the east side of the property, where we have a full 4 foot side setback. So we're not going to be accessing the backyard on the west side.
This is a choice that you're making, right? Like you don't, this is a completely new build. So, you're choosing to build this staircase very close to the neighbor. Okay. And you made the point about the neighbor also being already close, but why do you feel the need to have that little jog at the back?
Again, that's just for the program in the house, just to get some extra width. That's all it is for.
Okay. A final question. Given as you pointed out, that the depth variance is just for the basement, if we were to approve this, would you be okay with having it tied to elevations to make sure that it only applies to the basement?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dylan, just on your comments, you mentioned a staircase. It's not a staircase in the traditional sense of the word, right? It's just a little 2-step platform.
Two steps in a platform.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. I thought I missed there was a staircase there, but it's just a little platform, right?
With some stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the variance is for the exterior stairs.
Yeah,
variance 6. It's for the exterior stairs.
right. Okay. All right, any further questions? All right. Your time's been up, sir, so I'm sorry. We'll take this into committee. The way the protocol works is you have your opportunity to speak. If we have questions, you can respond, but otherwise, your time is done. All right, let's go into committee. Well, I can start. I understand the neighbors' concerns. I noted that the previous approval for a structure would have been 2 stories off the rear, which would have been actually deeper and probably a little bit more obtrusive to the neighbors than the one that we currently have before us. It doesn't go back, it goes back almost 2 meters less than what the previous approval provided. I get, Dylan, the point you're making about the width in the rear, but I think it is only a foot over as of right. I did note that the overlook issue on that part where the setback is only through a laundry room. So I don't think it's going to be a significant concern in terms of privacy. I did note that the rear deck is only an elevation of a foot or so. And with fencing and shrubbery, I don't think there will be a significant overlook issue into the adjacent yards. It is more common, frankly, for decks off the rear of houses to be elevated 3, 4, 5 feet. And in this case, it's pretty close to ground level. I didn't think that the variances before us were particularly significant. I note that the length is only for the basement portion, which will have no effect on either of the neighbors. So, you know, this is a neighborhood characterized, again, by fairly larger homes and larger lots, and I didn't think that this application would be inconsistent with the prevailing pattern of development on this street and in this neighborhood. So I think it's a fairly supportable application. Anyone else?
I'll just say I have no problem with the length or the FSI, but I do have a problem with pushing into the side yard without having talked to the neighbor, and having the stairs basically right at the edge. I just don't think that's necessary. You know, like, you can have a very large, spacious house without that. And I think that's the kind of thing you really should work with your neighbor to sort out before you come before us. So just because of that variance, I don't think I can support this.
Okay. All right. Ann, did you want to weigh in?
No.
Okay. Then we'll look for a motion. Dylan, do you want to try your motion?
Well, I don't know. Maybe, and I mean, me or Larry, depending on which way you feel.
Well, if you do a motion, then we'll flush Ann out of the bush.
Okay. I make a motion to refuse. I mean, really, I only want to refuse variances, 2 of the variances, but I'll just refuse the whole thing because obviously it's all part of one thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to refuse.
Motion by Mr. Reed to refuse. Is there a seconder? There is no seconder, so that motion fails. Ann, I'll look to you for a new motion.
Yes, I'm just wondering is it worth, given the concerns, important concerns of neighbors and Dylan's concern, is it worth discussing with the applicant this one particular concern that Dylan has?
We can. You can certainly we can go out of committee and speak to the applicant. It strikes me that if the concern is the setback, then that would require a fairly significant redesign of the application. But if you like, we can go out of committee and ask about the side yard setback.
Well, we did already ask the applicant about the side yard setback, so I guess under the circumstances.
Yeah, I think it's either a yes or a no.
Okay, so I will,
No, I'm sorry, sir, your time is up.
yes, I will move a motion to support in the light of the variances being overall minor, as very well explained by the applicant. And I do believe that many of the important issues brought to the table by the neighbors have been addressed by the applicant, and hopefully there'll be continuing awareness of any neighbor input. And so I move to support the application.
Okay, so there are no conditions, so motion by Ms. Crawford to approve, no conditions. I will second that, and all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that motion passes, the application is approved. Thank you all. We move on to item number 12. 25 3rd Street. This is an application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a side one-story addition and an extension, excuse me, of the existing second-floor terrace at the northeast portion of the dwelling above the proposed side one-story addition and new ground floor stairs, also to permit the front porch, front barrier access ramp, and a second-story terrace to the northeast portion of the dwelling, which were constructed beyond the limits of an authorized building permit. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have covering letter from the owners, previous decision number affecting the subject property. We have agent email correspondence with Heritage, an arborist report, urban forestry letter of clearance, the appropriate and relevant section of the bylaw, and a protected tree site plan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent here in person to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
All right, sir. Name and address, please.
Yes, good morning, committee. My name is Robert Mew, and I live at 25 3rd Street.
You are a resident of Toronto Islands.
That is correct.
Okay, so there's no one here to speak, but this feels like technical changes to a previous approval. But is there an OIC on this one in order to comply? No, but so something is out of bounds here. So maybe you could just give us an explanation of what's going on.
Sure. So we purchased this home in 2015, and on closing, discovered that it had an open permit. And I immediately started the process back then of trying to figure out how to sort this out. That involved multiple visits to the help desk. Several architects have been consulted. I spoke with, conversed with quite a few examiners, and ordered a final inspection by the building inspector, all to try and figure out what the issues were preventing it. The only information we received through that whole process was what our lawyer had received on closing, that there was an issue with interior stairs, headroom, and stairs off the back of the house, exterior stairs. So the advice we were given by everyone in the city was to go for a permit revision. And we ended up coming to Committee of Adjustment a couple of months ago to deal with all of those issues. And we needed to do that before going for this permit revision. As soon as we went to, after Committee of Adjustment, we went and applied for the building permit revision, and at that point we were told that there was a new plan, that we would not be allowed to do the revision for whatever reason, and that we had to submit our application as a new build. And as such, there were a couple of minor issues on our drawings, such as the siding that had been put onto the house had taken it into the setback on both sides. Our daughter's wheelchair ramp on the front, which was actually came with the house and was constructed in 2002, that it goes too close to the street. The front deck is a couple of inches over on one tiny corner. So all of those things prevented our being able to move forward and getting a building permit. So that's why we're here. The changes that we're asking for are really to approve primarily things that have been there for 23 years. And with the exception of a very small change to the addition that had been approved at the last meeting. That's the story.
Okay. Seems like you've been on quite the journey.
I have.
Well, we're sorry for that. Panel, any questions?
No.
No, I think this is a fairly straightforward recalibration of not only what's there, but what you've already gotten approval for. So let's take it into committee. Does anyone want to take this one?
I'm happy to take this.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, first of all, this is an absolutely charming house, very classic kind of island house. I think obviously in the island, maybe a certain amount of extra scrutiny is needed, but really the changes being requested are very minor. I very much appreciate the applicant going through all the correct processes. It's great to, I know it's been a burden for them, so I want to say how much we appreciate that they have done that. But overall, I think this is the actual changes being requested are very small. I appreciate that they're trying to regularize, the construction, and it's the overall charming house. So I move that we approve the variances without conditions.
All right, motion by Mr. Reid to approve, seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You're approved, sir, and hopefully this is the last time we'll see you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to item number 13, 38 Glendonwynnene Road. This is an application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition and a front second-story balcony, also to enclose the south portion of the front porch and the rear ground floor deck into habitable spaces. Committee has before a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 12 photographs of the subject property, and presentation materials from the agent.
To you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
All right, good morning.
Good morning. This is Nafisa Zangiabadi, 30 Apple Orchard Path, Thornhill, and I'm representing the owners.
Great, thank you. Hang on a sec, ma'am. We may not need a presentation. It's a fairly straightforward application. We may have questions. Dylan, I think you had a question on this file?
Yeah, it's not a variance, but I noticed that there was very little rear soft landscaping. I was just surprised that that wasn't part of the variances. I was just wondering if you could speak to that.
Yes, that was the existing situation. We didn't touch it. So that's why, and I confirmed that with the zoning examiner, since an existing situation, we don't need a variance for that.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, normally that does generate variance, but if it didn't in this case, do you have a little bit of soft landscaping?
We do a little, yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ma'am, we only raise that because it in our experience, it's quite uncommon to have that much hardscaping in the rear and not require a landscaping variance. But if the examiner has indicated that to you, then that's what we'll go by. But it seems unusual to us.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
We have no further questions. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee for a decision?
Oh, no, I just want to mention that there are many precedents of this type of application enclosing part of the porch on the street, and I have added the pictures. So that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's take it into committee. It is a fairly straightforward application. Dylan, you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, definitely, the landscaping is a bit of a surprise that it's not being an issue, but the remaining variances are minor, and the overall plan is doesn't have a lot of impact. So I'm happy to move a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to approve.
I will second.
Seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item number 14, 20 Balmy Ave. This is an application to permit a front yard parking pad located on a private driveway that does not lead directly to a garage, and to construct a driveway abutting Balmy Avenue. Also to construct a new front walkway. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have an arborist report and tree protection plan, revised zoning notice received March 13th, a red line public notice received March 16th. We have an agent email correspondence with the Committee of Adjustment staff, presentation materials from the agent. You have staff reports from Urban Forestry and from Transportation Services. We have 14 form letters in support from owners, occupants of Monroe, Willow, Silver Birch, and Balmy Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Franco Romano, 321 Lakeshore.
All right, Franco. So maybe just an overview and an explanation of this. You've seen Transportation's recommendation to refuse?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's have a bit of a discussion about this one. It is a unique property, unusual circumstance, and maybe the committee would benefit from an explanation.
Certainly happy to do so. So firstly, I'll deal with transportation right off the bat, and hopefully I don't run out of time, because the transportation memorandum was issued on March 11th. And it's our understanding that transportation staff initiated that revised zoning notice. And that revised zoning notice was issued as a surprise to us, and it is the requested variance, the effect of which is exactly the same. So the notice that is posted on the property, the discussions that happened with all neighbors, of which you've articulated the broad support, and the 2 different wordings of the sections of the zoning bylaw that are in variance, even the amended one, they all have the same effect, which is to address the zoning related item that parking in the front yard is regulated on a lot of this size. It's not permitted where it does not lead to a garage. So if staff can bring us to my slides, we will see in slide number 1, on the right-hand side, the air photo, the property is at the end of this stub of Balmy Avenue. So there is no crest, there is no circle, it's just a stub. The property has a lot frontage of 4.81 meters. Therefore, the property is undersized to allow a garage in the dwelling. So the only way that it can have parking on private property is to have it as a front yard parking pad. Also, and we'll see in other slides, there is a fire hydrant in the boulevard in front of the subject property, such that if you look at the upper right of the Balmy Avenue traveled portion of the road, there is a silver car that's parked in front of a driveway. To the left of that car, there is a no parking sign from that pole to the right-hand side. So from that pole to the end of the stub of Balmy Avenue. And we'll see along Balmy Avenue on that north side, parking is permitted on the north side only. It is not permitted on the south side. So those 2 vehicles on or 2 or 3 vehicles on the south side. Don't know how they're there, but they're not there lawfully. So what ends up having that happen for the subject site is if they wanted to park and go to their property, they would have to park on Silver Birch or very distant along Balmy Avenue, on Glen Fern, or some other street. And you'll see that would be not only an inconvenience, but it also takes away parking from other people. We see along Balmy Avenue, there are a series of driveways. There are garages across the street. There are parking pads. And the left-hand side of this slide number 1, we'll see in dark purple and in light purple, where private properties have driveways, some of which lead to garages. Those are the dark purple, and others that do not lead to garages, and that is the light purple. So 80% of properties on Balmy Avenue have some form of parking or driveway that leads from the boulevard onto private property. So what is being proposed here is fully consistent with what exists not only on Balmy Avenue, but on adjacent streets. On slide number 2, if staff can bring us to slide number 2, thank you very much. We'll see in yellow the location of the proposed parking space that overlaps an existing concrete walkway that is much more narrow, but it's about just under half the size of the proposed parking space. The parking space in the new walkway is proposed to be impermeable pavers. And we'll see that this is an older photo. A photograph at the bottom of this page is of the former house, because I wanted to show where the fire hydrant is, which I've also labeled on the site plan. So there's no interference with the fire hydrant, no interference or substantial interference with the tree. We'll see in the arborist report, and that's my next slide, but I don't know that we need to go there. The trees are all being properly respected, and urban forestry has raised no concerns. The request before this panel is to authorize minor variance related to the zoning bylaw. That in no way prejudices what needs to be provided, if at all, under the municipal code, chapter 918, which incidentally does not prohibit the license to be issued for front yard parking in this ward. Subject to any questions, I submit that the variance request is properly constituted and satisfies all 4 tests. And I've neglected to say that there is no landscaping variance whatsoever that's necessary, either in the front or in the back.
Okay.
More than what's required is being supplied. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? Dylan?
Yeah. So just to clarify, so you're saying that this is not an area where front yard parking pads are prohibited?
Correct.
Okay, so why is transportation saying refusal?
Chicken and the egg, through you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a chicken and the egg, and one cannot. If what transportation is saying is correct, and we have to go to them and then council to get authorization under the municipal code. If we proceeded down that road first, they would say you don't comply with the bylaw. So how can I authorize the variance? What we are doing is we went and talked to urban forestry, everybody's fine. We went and talked to the neighbors, everybody is fine, unless there's some surprise that I'm not aware of in terms of speakers that are coming up. What we have seen is that there's broad support for this. The variance would authorize what is necessary in order to have the parking pad, and then the process that transportation articulates going through chapter 918 of the municipal code would be initiated after the variance is approved. So then there's no other applicable law that would prevent the parking space from being located on private property. There is nothing in this memorandum from transportation that says that the parking pad is prohibited. All they are doing is expressing an opinion, which is a common opinion. Whenever in the 20 plus years that I've been doing this, almost 30 years in private practice, when I approach transportation services and say my client wants to do a front yard parking pad, Their immediate and initial response is no. And what ends up happening is you go through the process, they may still say no in their staff report, but it's ultimately council's decision to say yes or no. So transportation isn't saying no because it's prohibited. They're saying no because in their opinion and in their practice, they're not looking to endorse it. But clearly the street and the neighborhood has an abundant supply of front yard parking, and the proposal is seeking to do nothing different than that. It's probably a more sensitive treatment that's being proposed here. Sorry for the long answer.
Okay, and just a couple of things. So at the moment, you can't park in front of the house because of the hydrant.
Correct.
And how do people turn around on this street? I'm just curious.
They use driveways.
Okay, so they just...
that's what I had to do when it's because of the snow. I mean, my car has a pretty good turning radius. I can do a 3-point turn on the street, but because of the snow that we've had when I attended the site, I had to use somebody's driveway to finish my 3-point turn.
So likely the proposed driveway will be used fairly often by people turning around.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ann, any questions?
No, thanks.
All right. I don't have any questions, so let's take this into committee.
I'm happy to take this.
Sure.
Yeah, like honestly, I think in some ways it's better to have a front yard parking that doesn't have a garage if it's entirely on private property. You know, I don't think integral garages are particularly attractive necessarily. So in some sense, I think this is better than, you know, forcing a garage, which would also take up require a lot more driveway. And, you know, if this is not an area where front yard parking is already prohibited, then I don't see a problem with approving this so that it can then go forward with whatever the next processes are. I take the applicant's point that this is kind of clearing one hurdle and then there's other hurdles to go, but that they have to, you know, they have to start here. And there is a tree there, but forestry seems to feel that it's going to be fine, and they have to apply for, you know, the permit anyway. So I'm happy to support this.
Yeah, I agree, Dylan. I'm totally sympathetic to the applicant in this instance. I mean, we don't typically approve front yard parking pad, but this is a unique lot at the end of a dead-end street. No material impact on anyone. And as you point out, I think it actually improves the parking situation from what it currently is. And, you know, the fact that there's a fire hydrant there and you're not permitted to park within a certain distance really limits the owner's ability to access their own home. So, you know, in those rare instances where we don't necessarily agree with transportation, I think in this case, the merits of the case surpass the restrictions. And frankly, if transportation really wants to dig in on this one, as you point out, there's a process for them to do that. Okay, Ann, any thoughts? Okay, Dylan, you want to move a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve this variance with forestry conditions 1 and 2.
All right.
Through the chair, as amended, it
And
is
it's a red
technically amended, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the as amended.
So
I think that the actual notice actually has incorporated the amendment.
Through the chair, no, the notice that was sent to the public is slightly different. The applicant
Oh,
received
okay.
a revised zoning review which clarified the language, and it's essentially the same but had to correct some of the numbers in the section of the variance.
Okay, thank you. As amended then.
So Dylan, can I suggest a friendly amendment? The agent did indicate that they're going to use permeable pavers, and the site plan shows permeable for the walkway, but not for the parking pad.
Yes,
So can
totally
you
agree.
put in a condition in that the parking
Condition
pad?
that the driveway and the parking pad be made with permeable pavers.
Right.
Yeah. I'll add that condition.
Okay. All right. Motion by Mr. Reed,
second.
seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? The application is approved. Okay. Item 15, 53 Brunswick Avenue. This is an application to construct a new two-story detached garage containing a parking space on the ground level and a storage space on the second story in the rear yard abutting the public laneway. The existing 2.5-story detached main dwelling will be maintained and unaltered. There'll be a total of 2 dwelling units on the lot. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 6 photographs of the subject property, covering letter from the agent, and previous decision number affecting the subject property. We have correspondence and support from 55, excuse me, Brunswick Avenue and 44 Major Street.
For you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
All right, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Xiao Wang. I am from 59 Laurel Leaf Road, Thornhill, Ontario. I am the agent on behalf of the client, the owner of this property. I'll just give a brief history. We went through the Committee of Adjustment previously for this application to construct a laneway suite. However, after getting the approval, we went back to building permit, went through the building permit department, which at that point did not, before when we did the Committee of Adjustment, the building department didn't complete a full review. After that, when they completed a full review, it was noted that there were a few deficiencies that would not allow laneways to be constructed. One was that the access for the fire department was less than 0.9 meter width because of the side of the building, and that's just how the lot is. And the second is that the front entrance was more than 45 meters away from a fire hydrant, so that would not allow it. So going back and forth with the building department, it's in the letter as well, all this is documented in the letter. It was advised that we would go back to the Committee of Adjustment and apply for a variance for ancillary building, eliminating, and as such, it will be a 2-story ancillary building that is not habitable with a garage on the bottom and just storage on top.
Okay, so you're no longer providing like rental space. This will be, so it's the same, is it the same footprint and configuration?
It's the same footprint. It'll be the same footprint. We spoke to our neighbors, especially the 2 that are adjacent. They don't have an issue with it. Yeah, they don't have any, as before, they don't have any issues or complaints about this.
Okay, so no plumbing or anything like that?
No, nothing. None of that.
Okay. Any questions, panel?
So in the purpose, it says there's 2 dwelling units on the lot? Is that in the main building?
There's only 1 dwelling unit. We did confirm this with the actual, so I don't know if this is the previous permit, but there should be only 1. We did confirm this with the person who was finalizing the application. We did confirm that there's only 1 dwelling unit, so that is incorrect.
Okay, so we should modify the purpose then.
Yes.
So modify the purpose by deleting the last sentence.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just apologize for a second. Looking up here. Okay, any further questions? See none. Let's take it into committee. Thoughts?
Larry, I know you sometimes are not
Yeah,
happy
I'm
with the garages.
gonna weigh in on this one.
Why don't you go ahead?
Well, again, so I find that having a 2-story accessory structure that does not provide a public good, which in our view is providing additional rental accommodation that exceeds not only the height but the number of stories in a rear yard doesn't align very well with the bylaw and doesn't align very well with the public policy objective of introducing additional rental accommodation to existing neighborhoods. So I appreciate that there isn't any opposition, but I do find that that permitting excessively high structures in rear yards that are solely for the purpose of storage is inconsistent with the objectives of the bylaw and the objectives of City Council. So I would have supported it had it been a laneway suite that would have provided those benefits to the neighborhood and the community. I don't see this as providing any benefit to the surrounding area. So I won't be supporting this application on this basis.
Yes, this is,
Sorry, go on.
well, it has the wrinkle, of course, that he got refused for his laneway suite, but it's still a two-story building without public benefit, as the chair is underlining.
Okay, Dylan?
Yeah, I think I am not opposed to providing storage above garages, but I think I would have wanted to see it more of clearly a storage space with perhaps a sloped roof, which we have approved in the past. I actually sympathize with, using the upstairs of a garage, but I think it's important that that not be like, that be minimized in terms of its impact. So I don't have, I'm not opposed to having storage above garages, but I think that they have to be really designed in a way to kind of minimize their impact, and simply slapping the same design as a laneway suite on, I don't think is really appropriate. I'm sort of on both sides on this one, but if someone
You have to
wants
pick a side.
Yeah, no, if the majority of the committee feels like this is inappropriate, then I'm happy to go along with that.
All right, Anne, maybe I'll ask you for a motion.
Okay. I'll move that this application be refused as the most significant variance, the 2 stories versus the 1 permitted when it's not for purpose of habitation, doesn't really, not really be justified as minor under the circumstances.
Okay, motion by Ms.
And
Crawford.
I guess it's as
I'm sorry.
amended.
Pardon me.
As amended.
As amended. Motion by Ms. Crawford to refuse. Have a seconder?
Why don't you second, Larry?
I'll go second that. All in favor? Okay, the application is refused. Okay, item number 16, which is 8 Holborne Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story semi-detached dwelling by replacing the rear first-level deck with a 1-story addition with a platform and stairs. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, covering letter from the agent, and several decisions from several decisions on the previous property, or on this existing property. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers for this item.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Name and address, please.
My name is John Boone. My address is 51 Arundel Avenue, Toronto. Architect acting as agent for the owner.
All right, sir. You don't have anyone in opposition, but this structure has some history, and maybe you could give us an explanation of what's going on here.
Sure. You indicated the number of previous decisions that were posted on the application information site, and if you can pull that up, I provided a commentary. In fact, I see it up right now. So there were 7 previous decision postings. They're all basically the same. Like the first 3 are for a consent application and 2 new houses. This was done in 2013. Those applications apparently lapsed, and so the next 4, 5, and 6 were for the same application in 2016, basically to sever the lot and to construct 2 new houses. So all of those previous decisions are 1 through 6 are effectively for the same thing. And then the 7th decision was for a 3rd floor addition on 8 Holborne Avenue in 2022. So that's the explanation on the previous decisions. They're all, as I said, the first 6 are all the same, just basically having been done because the previous applications had lapsed.
Okay. And did you want to give us a bit of a overview of what you're proposing here?
Sure. I think if you pull up the cover letter, that might be the best reference for me to use to walk through this. Yeah, so if you'll see that photograph, the first photograph there on that cover letter, that's where the first floor, that's where the addition is going to be built. It's basically directly on top of the existing basement walkout. And also, just quickly, I want to just reiterate or correct something. There's an indication that this house is semi-detached on the application. And in fact, it's a detached, but I'll just let that sit for what that is. I just noticed that when they'd mentioned it, but regardless, if we can go back to the cover letter. So the 1-story addition is basically going to be built directly on top of that basement walkout. For one, they're experiencing some water ingress problems. That I think the original idea, I wasn't the original applicant when they built this house, but the idea was to contemplate that might become a second suite, which is no longer desirable. So the owners have simply decided to put a one-story addition directly on top of that walkout. If you scroll down, you can see the elevate to the end of that cover letter. You will see an indication, very last page, further down right there. Yeah, so you'll see there the addition is just at the back. It's a simple 1-story pop out at the back. And I can walk through the variances if you like. I'm not sure if that might be why. I think they speak for themselves for what they are, but I will address any of the committee's concerns with any of the specific variances if you like.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be fine. Panel, any questions? I have a question. I'm looking at the previous decision approval, 2022. It looks like you were the agent at the time as well, right?
Correct.
So at that time, the committee who approved this tied the approval to plans and elevations, which I don't know what the details were, but one can surmise that they were comfortable with this application, but comfortable in the context of confining it to what was before them at the time. I.e., there wouldn't be any further changes to it. So you're now coming back asking for additional length over and above the conditional approval that was granted previously. So just wondering how you're circling that square.
No, that's correct. So there was a 3rd floor addition, and that was constructed in accordance with the plans, and that permit has actually been closed. So they've already built that. So I'm not sure what reference this application would have to be tied to the plans for the previous application. As I say, that has already been built, and the permit has been closed. So
I think what I'm getting at, sir, is I'm not being clear. I'm going to assume that when the panel approved this, that they were comfortable with this application with the size that was proposed at the time. I'm not sure if they would be as comfortable with the application if this addition had been included in the original application, right? When we tie it to plans, that usually means that we want the building, the dwelling, to be contained as described. So
Yeah.
you're now coming back and asking for additional length, and I wonder, you can't predict for sure, but I wonder, had you proposed this one-story addition as part of that application, would that have been too much for the panel at the time?
That's,
It's a bit
I guess
of
that's a hard
hypothetical, I
question.
get that.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. I'm not sure. It wasn't contemplated at the time. This is simply an evolving desire with the owner to deal with what is an uncomfortable kind of basement well walkout at the time. Essentially, it's been the impetus is the water ingress problems. It's not a functional walkout. It collects a lot of snow. The addition is only one story. So in answer to your question, I'm not sure. It wasn't suggested at the time. It's simply a new ambition that the owner has. And I suppose the best, I think that your question might be answered best by the committee at this time to determine whether or not the application is minor. I'm not sure what reference it would have to the, as I say, to being tied to previous plans, as that application has already been completed. I understand your question, but I'm not sure that I can answer whether or not the committee would have approved this at that time.
Okay. Thank you, Dylan.
Question. Speaking of supplying to site plan elevations, would you be okay if we did that with your current plans, just to make sure that this remains just a single story addition?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is it. This is as far. I don't think they want to go any further than this. This will be the, yeah.
Okay,
the answer is yes to that question, yes.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Let's go into committee.
I'm happy to start off here. So I guess, first of all, I feel like this is a bit of a lesson to us about severances. These lots were severed into really small lots, and now really to create a livable space, they're just becoming more and more oversized on the lot. So I think it's something for us to keep in mind when we're approving these things. But specific, and like 50% lot coverage is pretty high. On the other hand, frankly, the space isn't really being used. As the applicants pointed out, there's already a foundation there. Is kind of a useless well into the basement. So given the specific circumstances, I think it's supportable with tying to site plan elevations to make sure that it's only that one story addition that's built.
Okay. Yeah, I will admit I struggle with this one. Only, I take your point, and the fact that there's an elevated structure more or less already there. But it feels like incrementalism to me. Getting approval for something which, as you point out, is on a small lot already, and then adding some additional one post approval by this committee. And I can't estimate what the committee's thinking was at the time, but when we tie it to plans and elevations, it usually means we want the approval to stick to what is before us. And had this application come to committee with the new build plus this addition off the back, I don't know whether it would have been approved.
I'm just wondering if maybe the site plans was to make sure that the third floor is only half the length. So I'm wondering if that tying was to make sure that the third floor doesn't expand.
Yeah, the site plan usually also talks about the exterior perimeter too, right? So,
yeah.
But I having said that, so I'm a little bit uncomfortable with this one for that reason. But having said that, I look at the structure that's there now, And there are privacy screens up the sides already. You know, there's a deck there and an excavated area that I suppose, you know, the additional impact of allowing this wouldn't be dramatic. But so I'm sort of on the fence on this one, but I could be convinced to support it. I just don't like it. Okay, did you want to move a motion then, Dylan?
Yeah, sure. I'll move a motion to approve these variances with a condition that they be tied to site plan and elevations.
Okay.
Through the chair, is the purpose being amended?
Oh, right, we are amending the
Oh,
purpose.
and, yeah, thank you. With the amended purpose, removing the semi-detached.
Okay. Okay, motion by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? Sort of a half hand up. Okay. Move on to item number 17. What did we go to this morning, Nicole? What number?
Through the chair, we have until item 18, and item 18 does have a number of speakers.
Okay.
So if anybody needs a break after item 17 would be a good time.
All right. Not before 17.
unless the members would like that.
Let's proceed. 342 Lee Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor deck abutting the rear and sides of the lot. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the subject property, a covering letter from the agent, previous decision numbers affecting the subject property, OMB decisions affecting the subject property, an arborist report, and a development history from the agent. We have 5 form letters in support from 340, 341, 346, 348, and 350 Lee Avenue. Do we have the agent?
Oops, through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online to speak, and there are no other registered speakers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Buckland, and I'm representing the owners of 342 Lee Avenue. My address is 16 Neepawa Avenue.
All right. So you as well have had a previous decision, previous approval here. Maybe just a quick overview of what you're proposing. It looks like, has it been to the board as well?
No. So, yeah, this site has an interesting history. So it was actually like a little semi-detached house on a very large lot. And I wasn't involved in this. It was the owners and the developer were involved, and they severed the lot. They severed 3 lots off the original lot because this, oddly enough, the small semi had a huge piece of property behind it. So it was severed, and the 3 houses at the back are almost completed. And the semi was also renovated with a small addition added. So that had its own, the semi had its own building permit for the renovation and addition. And the owners didn't realize that the deck was subject to zoning restrictions. So they built the deck because the backyard was so tiny. So this is this ask is literally just for the permit for the deck. All the other permits have been granted. The building permit and renovation has been granted. It hasn't been quite closed, but almost. And it was the building inspector that came to the site for an inspection and saw the deck and said, oh, that's subject to variances. So here we are.
Okay, and you similarly have had an approval with a condition tying it to plans.
Yes.
Okay, for this is not the site plan though. This is the east and north elevation drawings. I guess was that to lock down the the upper story?
I can't actually, so I'm having a delay. I had to phone in because I was having computer issues, and I can't actually see, there's a delay, and I can't actually see what you've got posted online, unfortunately. Sorry, can you clarify your question?
So the approval you got from the committee in 2023.
Yes.
It approved the third story addition with a rear deck above the second story. But the committee tied that approval to the east and north elevation drawings. So I'm going to assume in this case we didn't tie it to site plan. So I'm assuming that was to lock down the rear deck above the second story.
Yes, that was part of the first permit. So like I said, this is a completely separate permit. We're not tying it into that approval at all. It's just, So deck on the second story was part of that building permit to do the renovation and addition. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it looks like I was on that committee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's had a long history. It's been a complex, unusual project.
I do sort of vaguely recall this one. I do recall, I think we spent a lot of time on this one.
Yeah. So I wasn't involved in that. That was a different architect. I'm just here for the deck, just applying for the deck. That's my role. This is my only role on the project.
All right, thank you. Any questions, panel? No.
I'm just confirming. So the deck exists at the moment, right? And we're just actually like legalizing it, basically.
Yes. The deck was built. I mean, to be honest, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't realize or understand that decks are actually subject to variance.
Yeah.
So they didn't realize it until the inspector came on site.
We'll adjust the purpose of the application just to reflect that. Just to make everything.
So through the chair, the purpose can be amended to permit and maintain the existing deck?
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right, any further questions? See none, let's take this into committee.
This is a bit of a crazy lot. Like their rear deck is this tiny little space. I guess because the other buildings needed driveway access. So it's kind of insane, but it actually makes sense to put a deck there. Like you can't do anything else with it. I would, I'm happy to support this. I think we should just, we've altered the purpose, and then I think we should add the usual condition that we don't approve of, and just for the record, that we don't approve of, building with us without a building permit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. This was I vaguely remember spending a great deal of time. I think it was the adjacent building was part of the original approval too. So it was a complicated file.
Yeah.
And you're right, there's virtually no room in the backyard for anything. So this seems reasonable. Okay, that was a motion, was it, Dylan?
Yeah, that's the motion. I don't think there's any conditions.
No. All right. And did you want to say?
But with adding for the record and as amended.
Yeah. All right. Motion by Mr. Reed to approve, seconded by Ms. Crawford. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item number. Oh, sorry, Dylan. Did you want a break?
5-minute break.
5-minute break.
Just to get ready. Thanks.
All right. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Okay, through the chair, please turn off your videos and mute your microphones to staff and the members. And to everyone, we will resume in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, we resume with item number 18, 3085 Dundas Street West. This is an application to convert the existing three-story mixed-use building containing one vacant commercial space on the ground level and two residential dwelling units on the second and third levels into a non-residential building. This building will contain a daycare use on the ground, second and third levels, and storage office space within the basement level. Also to construct a rear three-story addition with rear terraces, which are outdoor play areas on the ground, second and third levels. Committee has before it copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations, received March the 11th, 3 photographs of the subject property, covering letter from the agent, email correspondence with revisions received March the 11th, and archival survey of the subject property, local population statistics, street parking map diagram, and email correspondence from the surveyor. We have a site plan option 2 received March the 16th. We have agent correspondence with respect to site plan option 2 received March the 16th. Agent email correspondence with heritage staff. We have correspondence with transportation staff. There is a staff report from Metrolinx and email correspondence from Transportation Review. There's correspondence and support from a former resident at 771 Indian Road. Correspondence and interest, concern from 3083 Dundas and 3107 Dundas Street West. There's correspondence and opposition from, I'm not going to list them all. There are several, numerous correspondence from Quebec Avenue, Dundas, Gilson, Dundas West, more from Dundas West, Gothic Avenue, Quebec, Dundas, Dundas West. We have correspondence in opposition from, again, Quebec Avenue, Clendenin Avenue, and materials in opposition from the owner of 3083 Dundas Street West. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent here in person to speak. For this item, there are 5 registered speakers, 3 in person and 2 online.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Barry Goldman, address 321 Carlaw Avenue, Suite 203, the architect and agent for this application.
Thank you, sir. We will probably appreciate an overview. There's a lot of people that have written in. There's a lot of people who want to speak to this one. Maybe just for our purposes, maybe give us a little bit of clarification. What's the latest on this one? You've submitted options, and we're a little bit confused about where things stand.
Yes, happy to clarify. So we did obtain an up-to-date survey at the beginning of the job. It did not indicate there were any easements protecting a mutual staircase at the rear that occupied a portion of both properties. So we proceeded with a design that removed the staircase on our side. I think on Thursday of last week, the owner of the adjacent building at 3083 alerted us that there was, in fact, an agreement that was not reflected on the survey that we had obtained. So we've been, since that day, Thursday of last week, we've been trying to speak to that owner. But in the meantime, what we did was simply move our staircase to the other side of the plan, effectively mirroring the rear elevation. The addition to the building we're proposing is just literally a staircase that would project out beyond the rear of the building. I'll note the staircase in question lines up with the rear wall of the adjacent building at 3087 Dundas. But so really that was the 11th hour change.
So,
and it was,
just, don't mean to interrupt you.
Please.
You say a rear 3-story addition with rear terraces.
The terraces have been removed. There's no longer a proposal to construct terraces. The addition is simply a staircase.
So should we change the wording of that? That
Yeah,
doesn't
if you-
sound right to me.
If you could remove the rear terrace play area, that has been removed from the proposal.
So when we say a rear 3-story addition, you want to keep that, but
Yes.
that's actually a staircase.
Yes, the addition is a staircase,
Okay.
period.
Do we call it a staircase? I mean,
Through
it
the
seems-
chair, we could add staircase in
Yeah,
brackets.
it just clarifies that. I mean,
Yeah.
an
It
addition
is
in
enclosed.
Marvine is usually a structure.
Yes, I mean, the staircase is enclosed, I should add, so it's.
Oh, it's an
part-
enclosed staircase.
It's an enclosed staircase.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you. That's helpful. So no terraces any longer.
No
And
terraces.
when did you make those changes?
The
I'm
terrace.
just wondering if the people that are in opposition, are they aware of
I
that?
believe, yeah, I met 4 of the people in opposition on Saturday in a meet and greet, and yeah, we did alert them that the terraces were gone, and I think by that point we'd moved the stair, I don't remember, no. We've moved the stair to the other side of the building. I don't believe moving the stair side to side would actually address their concerns
Okay.
particularly,
Well,
but
we'll hear from them.
yeah.
So the changes that you've made, and you've got a new site plan that reflects the change in the staircase?
Yes, and
So-
I'll add, it would not affect the variance we're
That's what
seeking.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Are there any changes to the variance as a
No.
result of the changes you've been making?
No.
Okay.
There was a rear yard setback variance. I think it's supposed to be 7.5. We're asking for 7.21. So it's quite minor. And we just slid it from one side of the building to the other as soon as we were alerted that there was an issue with that right away.
Okay. All right. Proceed. I'm sorry, I've eaten into a little of your time. but-
Oh, not at all. So again, the proposal is to repurpose the existing building from a mixed-use commercial. It's almost the opposite of the one I was here before. Repurpose a mixed-use building from commercial on the ground and basement floors and residential on the second and third to exclusively a commercial use, namely a daycare. I will add that a daycare is a permitted use in this building. So the idea that we're putting in something that shouldn't be here, it is a mixed-use neighborhood. And I don't mean to trivialize the concerns of the neighbors, but a daycare is permitted as of right. So, we could, if the committee saw fit to refuse the variance, still put a daycare on the ground and basement floors. So the use, again, the use is permitted. I recognize that there isn't a daycare now, and it is a change for the neighbors. However, it's a permitted use. At the very beginning of the job, before we really got into design, we did reach out to transportation services because we are not seeking a parking variance. There's no parking variances associated with this, but we did recognize that the drop-off was going to be accomplished at the front of the building in what's currently a no stopping zone. You can't park a car between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. So we did 2 things. We compiled census data, and we're able to extrapolate from that there's about 375 children live within 500 meters of this property in a household that does not own a car. There are about 840 children living within 500 meters of the property, but about half of those households don't have a car. So we were able to establish this facility is going to take about 42 children. We were able to establish that it's reasonable that enough people live within walking distance to this daycare that it would be a viable business despite the fact that you can't park a car nearby. We also approached transportation immediately to make sure that they agreed that this was indeed a reasonable thing to do. And transportation did agree that the size of this facility, the number of children that would be dropped off, and the number of people that live within 500 meters of it. So whether they have a car or not, it wouldn't be onerous to walk their child in a stroller to the property. It seemed like a reasonable proposal. And so on that basis, we proceeded. And really, the staircase rear yard setback is very minor, 7.5 versus 7.2. The real issue is, should we be repurposing the building to exclusively a commercial use to permit daycare? And here too, as we're increasing density for housing, we're increasing the need for daycare. There's a real daycare shortage in the neighborhood. And I'd argue that this is a good use for the neighborhood. It's supportable. When I was at the meet and greet with the neighbors, a couple walked in, and the woman actually walked in not to find out about the project as a concerned neighbor, but to submit a resume saying, you know what, I'm an ECE worker and I live 4 blocks away. It was a lovely coincidence. But again, just to demonstrate, because I think a lot of the concerns of the neighbors are parking and noise. And I don't mean to trivialize them, but the unbiased third party that is charged with protecting public safety, transportation services, thinks it's okay. And we've demonstrated, I see I'm out of time.
I'll grant you a little bit more. I ate up some of your time.
Okay, thank you. Transportation services suggests this is okay. The way the drop-off will be accomplished is with 3 EC workers in the vestibule to receive children. And the idea is there's enough people in the neighborhood that can walk that it'll just disincentivize people that if you have a car and you want to park in a parking lot, they'll go to a different daycare. There's enough people here that can walk easily that it'll remain a viable business with just the people walking. And again, with regard to the noise, we will be soundproofing the existing walls. I do understand the concerns of people living next door and having a daycare. So we will be good neighbors. We will soundproof the walls. And I'll conclude this is a permitted use. It's a mixed-use neighborhood. We could have opened an ice cream store. There'd be more kids coming in there, and that would be as of right. And we could have put a restaurant in there, and that would generate, I'd suggest, a lot more nuisance and garbage than what we're proposing. And both of those uses would be as of right.
Okay, thank you, sir. I did a technical question, and I don't know whether you know the answer to this, but this portion of Dundas has seen and is currently seeing some condominium development happening along that way and potentially additional condominium development. So is that part of the rationale for a daycare? There's going to be additional families in the area?
I think, yeah. I mean, anyone who's trying to find a daycare spot knows you usually wind up on a waiting list. And every hour that goes by, it seems another condo just drops onto the city. So we need more. We need more residential units, and we need more daycare. We need everything, and they need to be close to each other for this to work as a good city.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just a question.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Another technical question. I saw that there was some discussion with Heritage. Have you adjusted the design of the front ground floor as a result?
We were able to persuade Heritage that, in fact, our adjustment was restoring the original condition, which is similar to the adjacent neighbors.
Okay, so it doesn't actually affect your site plan?
Yeah. Heritage was satisfied with our design after some discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll go to the speakers now.
If Lisa can step up to the podium, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Name and address, please.
My name is Lisa Farah, and I'm the owner of 3087 Dundas Street West,
Okay.
which is the adjacent attached building.
All right, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. We request the refusal of this application, or at a minimum, its deferral. This is not a minor adjustment. It is a high-intensity overdevelopment that fails all 4 statutory tests. Most alarmingly, evidence uploaded to the city on March 13th reveals this is a 2-phase Trojan horse proposal. While the current plans show 42 children and no terraces, correspondence between BJA Architects and Transportation Review confirms a phase 2 that will introduce a rooftop terrace play area, 20 additional children, so bringing the total up to 62, and that they will seek a dedicated pickup and drop-off spot on Dundas or Quebec. This confirms that the applicant recognizes the site lacks the necessary infrastructure for safe drop-offs. Seeking a variance for a reduced daycare size now, only to expand once approved, is a subversion of the planning process. Having met with BGA Architects and the daycare owner on March 14th and asking them about expansion plans, they again stated there will be 42 children and no terraces. We believe this behavior to be deceitful. It is an attempt to secure COA approval for an application which is a shell of a much larger project. It undermines your ability to accurately assess the minor nature of these variances. We ask this committee to judge this proposal based on the actual intensity intended for the site laid out in Phase 2, and not based on these scaled-down plans simply modified to secure your approval. In looking at Variance 2, the requested non-residential FSI is a 127% increase over the permitted 1.0 times floor space index. This is not a numerical technicality. It is a doubling of built form capacity on a constrained mid-block site. The architect's claim that this is below the 5.0 maximum is a misdirection. An FSI of 5.0 is a theoretical vision for massive avenue developments that provide for 4.8 meter sidewalks and internal loading docks. This site provides neither. Commercial density is capped at 1.0 specifically to control patron flow. Because the site is mid-block with no lay-by and 62 children, plus parents and staff, it will result in traffic danger. All drop-offs will occur in an active transit lane on a corridor where a 6-year-old was tragically killed by a car less than a minute away. Loading chaos. As seen in Appendix A, slides 7 to 9, can we bring up Appendix A? So it's a separate document. Basically, this appendix will show that TTC buses, delivery trucks, and emergency vehicles will be blocked and exacerbate an already existing traffic issue. Our primary concern is life safety. As shown in Appendix A, slides 2 and 3, the rear access is restricted to simply 12.1 feet. It is physically impossible for a Toronto fire truck to reach the rear of 3085 Dundas. Furthermore, if we take a look at slide 4, this shows the rear gate opens into a right-of-way that is frequently blocked by cars, creating a trap scenario. This is dangerous for evacuating children and blocks a critical egress point. Finally, the proposal eliminates 2 family-sized rental units during a housing crisis. To replace homes with the commercial intensity the land cannot support is neither desirable nor in the spirit of the City of Toronto's official plan. In conclusion, this is too much building for too little land. A daycare is a good thing, but this is the wrong site. The safety of 62 children and the transit efficiency of Dundas West cannot be sacrificed for a 127% density increase. We respectfully ask the committee to refuse this application, or at a minimum, issue a deferral pending a formal fire access egress review and a full transportation study. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You've raised a number of broader concerns about this application and its impact on the street and the neighborhood. You are also a property owner 2 or 3 places down. What's the impact on your property?
Actually, we live in the adjacent building, so we are right beside it. So, absolutely noise, probably the vibrations from all the children being next door. But overall, we're really looking and mindful of the safety of the children. You're bringing in 62 children into this commercial space on a very busy street.
I understand that. What I'm trying to get at is, as a neighbor, what's the impact of this application specifically on you.
Right. So in addition, the noise. So we have a terrace out back. They will be building a rooftop terrace to, have the children outside.
I don't think that's in the plans that we have.
So, right, it's not in the plans. So they put in amended plans, which reduce the child count down to simply 42. But we have a letter between Transportation Review and BJA Architects. It's also has been submitted. And basically, in that document, they say that Phase 2 will only include a new rooftop terrace contributing to the outdoor play area to accommodate more children at the facility. Phase 1 would accommodate 42 children, and Phase 2 would bring an additional 20 children.
We don't have that before us, but we will ask the agent to respond to that when he comes back.
It is submitted in part of the submission. So it's a document between Daniel Reynolds and BJ Architects. It's dated February 24th.
We'll ask the agent when he returns
Okay,
to speak to that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, panelist, speaker? No? All right, thank you very much, ma'am.
Great, thank you.
Our next speaker?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if we can ask Bill to step forward to the podium, please.
Hi.
Hello. Good
Name and address,
afternoon.
please, sir.
My name is Bill McCutcheon. I live at 3093 Dundas Street West.
All right, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. I'll begin by saying that I'm a father and a grandfather. I raised 3 children in the neighborhood, and they all went to daycare there. In addition, I've lived next to a daycare for 5 years in the neighborhood, and I have no problems with doing so again. Now, while today's proposal calls for a facility of 42 children with rear ground floor play area, the architect states in its correspondence with the Transportation Department that this is a first phase, and then immediately upon passage from the committee, a second phase asking for additional 20 spaces and a rooftop terrace will be applied for. No doubt the applicant will claim today that the second phase is something optional that might or might not happen down the road, but this is simply not true. The proposed outdoor play area is too small for the number of children in the facility, given that it also must act as the waste storage area. Without the rooftop play area, it's unlikely the daycare will ultimately be approved. Now, where the issue of interior noise is concerned, I have to note that this is not a freestanding building, but shares party walls on both sides. The sound and vibrations of 70 active bodies will absolutely carry through the walls unless steps are taken. But there's nothing in the drawings or notes to suggest that anything major will happen in that regard, despite what we were told at the meeting last Saturday. The exterior noise is another matter. The rear area is basically a 3-story masonry amphitheater. The hard surfaces amplify everything. I have severe hearing loss requiring full-time use of hearing aids. I sometimes struggle to hear my daughter while in the same room, but I can hear every conversation that takes place in the area behind the building. The combined play areas will create an unbearable level of noise for the stay-at-home families, retirees, and many who work from home during the business hours. Then there's the issue of traffic. In his report to the Transportation Department, the architect claims that the catchment area for the daycare will be an area of 500 meters from the site within which there are 838 children, according to census figures. And that's not true. There might be 838 residences within that radius, but there is not that number of children. A net public school down the block only has 458 students. So, in other words, the catchment area will be much wider, and as in most daycares in the area, the overwhelming majority of kids will be dropped off by car. But where? Stopping and parking are banned on Dundas Street eastbound during rush hour. The north side is usually full. The alley can't take the traffic, and the Clendenin side by Claudia's Coffee would be illegal and unsafe. Dundas is a very important commuter route. It's the only east-west artery between Eglinton and Queensway that crosses the Humber and has 2 unrestricted lanes of traffic during rush hour. I don't read the comments from the traffic department as an endorsement of this. I read them as an opening conversation. I doubt very much that the traffic department is going to offer a drop-off pickup area on the street in front of the daycare. There's nothing like it anywhere on Dundas Street. Now, if I've learned one thing from living next door to a daycare, it's that the parents are going to drop off and pick up their kids wherever they find it most convenient, regardless of what the traffic patterns are or what the rules of the daycare are. And I think that there's going to be accidents and all kinds of traffic jams. You know, on so many levels, this daycare is just wrong. Is there anything about this building or location that makes it uniquely suitable for a daycare? No. It's nondescript, century-old walk-up that needs a fortune to be refitted, and it's in an area with no parking and no viable drop-off area. I encourage you to turn down this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of the speaker?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Ann.
So you heard the applicant say that a daycare use is as of right.
I'm sorry?
The applicant said that the daycare use is as of right, but just in a smaller portion of the building.
Yep.
Would a smaller daycare still give you the same concerns?
No, like I say, I've lived next to a daycare. It's the volume of people and the traffic. One of my concerns is I own a building 3 doors down, and I have a tenant that pays me a lot of money. She uses the parking on the street for her clients. She needs that too. And that's a big concern of mine if there's going to be 40 or more parents taking up all the parking on the street. Remember that in the afternoon, the traffic goes the other way, which means there's no parking on the north side of the street. And parking on the south side of the street is also going to be very tight. So it's going to be really tough on the merchants there if a big chunk of the street is taken over just by the daycare. If it was a small daycare where you know, there might be 2 or 3 people dropping off, I'd have no problem with that. No problem at all. And, but the noise is a huge issue. It really is.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We have one more speaker here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we can get Ian up to the podium, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Name and address, please.
Ian McFedrin, 3083 Dundas Street West, apartment 2A.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Ian McFedrin, and along with my partner and my son, I am a tenant at 3083 Dundas Street West. As parents of a young child, we understand firsthand the need for daycares in our city and are fortunate to live in an area that has dozens of options already. 3085 Dundas is unsuitable to safely support a 3-story commercial daycare. These variances will remove 2 family-sized residential units, increase density and noise, reduce privacy, and exacerbate the numerous safety concerns already raised by the other speakers. Additionally, based on the correspondence from March 13th between BGA and Transportation, we believe that the applicant is misleading both the committee and the community with full intent to expand beyond its current scope in scale and density in phase 2 of the project not mentioned in the application. This is unacceptable, and we request the refusal of this application, which does not have the community's best interest in mind. It lacks its support and ultimately fails each of the 4 tests provided by the Ontario Planning Act. It is difficult to speak to the first variance on the setbacks because we've been presented with multiple plans in the past 5 days. The city's bylaws and official plan are not arbitrary, and if a variance is going to be granted that supersedes them, it should be the result of a clear, rational plan that accounts for and balances the needs of all of the stakeholders. By the time we're having this discussion today, the experiments, what-ifs, and general brainstorming should be long done. That said, none of the plans presented meet the thresholds laid out to grant a variance. Their scale is not minor. They will involve a new structure that effectively will box in our backyard and block our access to sunlight and restrict airflow. As the pictures that I provided demonstrate, the unique configuration of the alleyway mean that 3083 is already enclosed by brick on the east and north side. Whichever structure they go with, and whether it's on the left side or the right side of the building, is going to block a significant portion of our western access as well. This is also clearly a violation of the intent of the bylaw as well as the official plan, which is meant to ensure that access to light, air, and privacy are preserved in order to maintain healthy outdoor spaces for tenants. Likewise, the increased number of people using the space, coupled with the hardscape additions, will significantly increase the amount of noise by adding further reflections while reducing privacy. The existing trees and shrubbery that currently serve as a noise and privacy barrier would also be removed, which is contradictory to the intent of the bylaw and official plan, and is far from desirable. Most problematically, the designs for the rear extension all fail to account for the shared right-of-way back staircase and call for its removal. As the pictures demonstrate that I've provided, the staircase on 3085 side cannot be removed without significant construction and changes to 3083. Despite the applicant's claims, there have been no meaningful discussions about this. This would leave us without an alternate exit in the case of an emergency and is clearly a glaring safety issue. We are not an afterthought in this process. The new drawing that was put up like a day or two ago, there's like a thought bubble basically that says like we're not removing the staircase, but it's not clear what they intend to do with the area. The second requested variance also fails to pass the 4 tests. The official plan and zoning bylaws are clear that a balance must be struck between residential and commercial uses based on needs, and that the character of the neighborhood is maintained. They also clearly favor adding additional residential units. The mixed-use zone along Dundas follows a very particular pattern with first floor commercial and upper floors for residential. To deviate from this is not a minor variance. We are in the middle of a housing crisis and cannot afford to remove pre-2018 rent control units. The units, which are 3-bedroom and suitable for families, are increasingly rare. The central air shaft between these 2 buildings is also a conduit for sound. We have the photos of that as well. As we can hear conversations between our neighbors now, I cannot bear to imagine what crowding 20 children per floor along with staff will sound like. There's over 20 letters of objections from building owners, tenants, and businesses from the community itself. There's only 1 letter of support. It comes from someone with no apparent connection to the neighborhood. The applicants have failed to offer any meaningful evidence that this site is best suited for a daycare that would best meet the needs of the neighborhood, particularly when there are other options in the immediate area for care and other available sites in the immediate area that would prove more suitable for a project of their proposed size. Their demographic data, credited to no specific source, is most likely from the 2021 census. I've just got 1 paragraph. It'll just take 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. It's most likely from the 2021 census. It's out of date since any children that it identifies are no longer of daycare age. This decision is critical since we have no avenues for appeal. If a variance is granted without due consideration to the safety of residences, businesses, and children, the consequences here could be disastrous. Given the vague and misleading submissions from the applicants, this is not a chance worth taking, and at the very least, deferral is prudent in order to ensure we take the time to get this right.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel?
No.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we have a couple folks online.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll move to the online speakers, and the first speaker up will be John.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me okay?
You can. Name and address, sir.
John Perkettis, 376 Armadale Avenue.
All right, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. My name is John Perketis. I am the owner of 3083 Dundas Street West, immediately adjacent to the subject property. I oppose this application for 3 main reasons. First, it depends on altering a shared easement that I do not consent to. Second, the application is unclear and presents multiple design options. Third, the proposed full building daycare will create significant adverse effects on my property. Both deeds contain identical language granting shared use of a rear stairway as existed in 1914. I have also submitted a 1946 survey confirming the location and existence of that stairway. Together, these documents establish a historic shared easement arising from the deed language and long-standing use benefiting my property. This is a legal right tied to my property, not just a physical structure. The original proposal clearly contemplates demolition or alteration of this shared stair. I want to be clear, I do not consent to any alteration, relocation, or removal of this stairway. Ontario courts have consistently held that easement rights are defined by the deed and cannot be interfered with in a way that impacts the benefiting property. Because the applicant does not have my consent, they do not have the ability to implement a proposal that alters this shared stair. In response to this issue, the applicant has submitted an alternative site plan that relocates the rear exit stair to the west side of the building. However, this is not a minor adjustment. It is a different physical configuration of the site. The committee is now faced with 2 scenarios. One that cannot proceed without my consent, and another that materially changes the layout of the property. This creates a fundamental problem. It is unclear what exactly the committee is being asked to approve. An application must be based on a clear and consistent design. Here, the proposal is contingent on unresolved legal issues and includes multiple configurations. This makes the application premature and not properly before the committee. I also want to address the impact of the proposed daycare use on my building. The 2 buildings share a narrow air shaft, and the 2nd and 3rd floor apartments in both buildings have windows that directly face each other into this space. This configuration significantly amplifies sound between the buildings. A full building daycare introduces continuous indoor noise throughout the day, children playing, shouting, and crying, which is fundamentally different from typical residential or small-scale commercial activity. Even if attempts are made to reduce indoor noise, there are still separate sources of impact that cannot be mitigated. The proposal also includes a rear outdoor play area. Noise from outdoor play will project directly toward the rear of my building and into the back portions of the apartments. Unlike indoor noise, outdoor activity cannot be contained or soundproofed. My tenants have already expressed concern and opposition. Taken together, the combination of amplified indoor noise through the air shaft and an uncontained outdoor noise at the rear will materially impact their ability to enjoy their homes and affect the livability of my property. In planning terms, this represents an adverse impact on neighboring properties, and the proposal is therefore not desirable for the appropriate development of the land. Taken together, the proposal is not minor in impact. It is not desirable for the appropriate development of the land, and it is not properly before the committee in its current form due to the lack of clear and implementable design. For these reasons, I respectfully request that the committee refuse the application as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? Nope.
No.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have our final speaker online. Irv, you've been unmuted.
My name is Irv Kirstein. I'm an owner at 466 Quebec Avenue, just around the corner from the proposal for 3085 Dundas Street. My main concern is with the removal of residential units within this area. The speakers before me have pointed out my points very, very clearly and succinctly. I, too, would recommend that this proposal not be accepted by the city. I appreciate you listening to all of us and wait to hear your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? None? All right, I think that concludes our speakers, so we'll invite the agent back up to respond to what we've heard. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So with regard to, I think, and John, if you're listening, we have been trying to talk to you. Please, please do reach out. I think it'd be worth us having a conversation. So with regard to the right-of-way, it simply didn't appear on the survey, which is normally what I rely on to see if there's any encumbrances. John submitted that deed and the accompanying information at some point on Thursday. We've been reaching out to him with every avenue possible, but in the meantime, we just elected to simply move the stair over. In other words, we will leave the existing conditions alone. We will not affect any of those existing conditions. With regard to the potential for increased number of children, there was not an attempt to mislead. The daycares are complicated, and there's overlapping restrictions. You need, I think it's 60 square feet per child indoors, and I won't go through all the numbers. It is the maximum number of children that can be accommodated in the building with additional play area would be 52, and that's based on a calculation of the floor area of the building. I'm not disputing that the number 62 was put forward to transportation, and that was based on a flawed calculation. The number of people that were able to accommodate children, under the existing configuration is 42, and that's largely based on the size of the outdoor play area, which will accommodate, I think it's 10 children at a time. The only way to put more children in the building would be to put a roof deck on there to increase play area, which may or may not make sense as a business move. And likewise, the long-term intention is to approach transportation, and we're not making, that's not a secret, to see if they would consider allowing a drop-off. As a business move, it makes perfectly good sense. The intention now is to ensure that the business will succeed under the existing conditions. You can't ask transportation to contemplate creating a no stopping zone if you are not the owner and the business is not there, which is why we're proceeding in this manner. Again, there's no intent to mislead anyone. If the business is successful, we may be coming back to committee to permit a rooftop deck for additional play area. That is not before you now. Should that happen as a result of the business thriving and that need being identified, we would be before committee for additional variances, and the committee would have the opportunity at that time to decide if it's appropriate or not. So again, what's before the committee now are 42 children. I do recognize that this is a different use than what the neighbors are used to, and I'll simply reiterate, it's a mixed-use zone, and this is a permitted use. The ratio of area is specified, and it's funny because this is literally a reversal of the last hearing I did today. I'm doing the opposite thing. But we could, for example, divide the building vertically instead of horizontally and maintain the area, and again, not be before the committee because it is a permitted use. So I'll suggest that it is appropriate. It does meet the 4 tests, other than a staircase at the rear that is going to align with the existing adjacent building at 3087. There's no change to the physical nature of the building. It's mostly a change of use.
Okay. So this will be a licensed daycare, right?
Yes.
And so it goes through a separate path to achieve that license?
Yeah, it has to be approved by a municipal, what is it, housing and municipal licensing and housing? I don't think I'm saying it right. Yeah.
But there are requirements and restrictions
Yes.
associated with that permitting process.
There are. You have to demonstrate the area, and you have to draw, further to the gentleman's point, you have to actually draw, okay, what's going in the backyard? Where do you store the mats? All that stuff needs to be shown to the ministry before the license is granted.
So we've heard an awful lot of commentary about, the use of this facility as a daycare and what the implications of that are on children and the neighborhood. This is a permitted use,
Yes.
right? So it's not like you're coming to us seeking approval of a daycare. You're not looking for a change of use that would allow the daycare to go.
No, sir.
What you're actually here for is a staircase off the rear. You're not reconfiguring this building in any other way, other than, I presume, making some soft landscaping or something in the back.
The two variances really are the ratio of commercial to residential area and the rear yard setback.
Right.
So repurpose the existing building to be exclusively commercial, whereas it's currently half commercial, half residential. And we're seeking a variance to permit a staircase to be extended beyond the rear of the existing building.
And the current rear yard, is it hardscaping or is it soft?
I believe it is currently hard. It's completely paved now.
And
sorry. Is it grass?
It's grass.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it soft?
Ours is hard.
All right, I didn't want to get into a big debate on this one, but but you are putting a play area in the back.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to clarify. Dylan?
You're looking for a fairly large daycare and you have a fairly small outdoor space. So just wondering if you could go into a little bit of detail about how the play area will successfully meet the needs of three levels of daycare.
Sure. So the play area will accommodate, I'm going to say 10. Once we get into building permit, that number may go down to 9, but I'm going to stick with 10 for now. It's the higher number. The rear play area will accommodate 10 children at a time, and so they'll have to go in turns. They won't all be able to go out there at once. I think the rule is children must be outside for, I think it's an hour and a half or 2 hours a day. So in order to give the children the required amount of outdoor play time, they're going to have to cycle through in shifts, which is really how we arrived at that number of 42. The interior area of the building would accommodate up to 52 children under the 60 square feet per child, where the rear yard is the limiting factor in this building, and it'll accommodate 10 children at a time. They're permitted to be outside, I think, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So the owner of the building and the daycare consultant we're working with determined that you could realistically cycle through, I think, 4 groups of kids and allow them to be outside for 2 hours at a time with 10 children.
Okay. So it'll probably be in use throughout the day.
It will be in use throughout the day.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Ann?
It sounds like soundproofing is a real issue for the neighbors, especially the adjacent neighbors. And I think you mentioned something about soundproofing in your presentation. Could you clarify?
Yes. The light well, and we didn't address it in the drawings, but I hear you guys. We'll close the windows on our side. We weren't relying on that for interior light. So we're happy to close them. Beyond that, the existing walls on either side are 8-inch masonry walls. We will soundproof beyond that. We have not yet embarked on our building permit drawing, so I don't want to commit to specific details, but I will say the intention is to be good neighbors. We are going to be rebuilding the floors from scratch when we introduce these new stairwells, so there's an opportunity to decouple the structure from the walls, which will prevent vibration from being transmitted from the floors into the walls. Additionally, we can provide soundproofing. You know, we can strap the walls with resilient hangers, put some Roxol in there, and put 5/8 type X drywall. So the wall you'll get would be a better wall than you would get in even a high-end residential condo. Short answer, we will soundproof. The light well is a no-brainer. We will just close those windows up. I don't think we're getting a lot of benefit from them, and I do understand how a window communicating directly to the neighbors would be a problem. So we can close those.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Thank you very much, sir. We'll take this into committee. Anyone want to start us off?
Well, I wouldn't mind looking for a bit of direction from my fellow members about variance 2, and I don't know if it's just a technical question, but it's a floor space index variance, but sort of implicit in the idea of that bylaw is that it's combined use. So, and the applicant's very upfront that they're asking for a changed use. And I don't know if that, how you phrase it makes it less or more minor, but I'm sort of interested to hear from my fellow members about that.
Yeah, that was something that I was concerned about too. I mean, to me, the clear intention of that is to have a mixed-use building. The reason that we have that restriction is that there should be both residential and commercial in the building. You know, I think that the rear yard setback is a minor variance, and it's not really an issue, especially now that they've removed the staircase. But I do think that the commercial does speak to the intent of the bylaw to some extent. I also think that part of the intention of that is capacity. You know, like the reason to restrict the commercial use is that if the whole thing is commercial, then there's more heavy use of the building and you know, people going in and out and everything. So there's a capacity issue there to some extent in an old building that's attached, that's on a busy street. And I think that this proposal really impacts that issue of capacity more so than maybe, you know, if it was just an office or something like that. You're going to have a lot of people coming in and out and using that space. So I do think that that's a bit of an issue. I don't think it's a simple minor variance. I think it's a significant variance with quite a lot of impact. And you know, does speak to the intentions of the bylaw to encourage mixed use.
Okay. I'm just sort of trying to cast along. I do know this stretch of Dundas reasonably well, and it's a very eclectic mix. And it's in transition. It's very much in transition. I asked the question earlier about a lot of the new condominium development that's going on just west of there. There's one under active construction right now on the north side, and I think there's a relatively large one coming on the south side. So it's a street in transition. It's a street in an area, I do know it well, that is, there is a high demand for daycare. That's not before us necessarily, but I do understand and appreciate the interest in providing in a high demand area, large family area, more and additional daycare spaces. And if I look along, Dylan, you make a good point about, you know, encouraging mixed use in these dwellings, but it is very eclectic. There are several storefronts that have apartments above. There are several, similarly, there are several 2- and 3-story buildings which appear to be entirely commercial. I guess what I'm saying is, given that this is a this is not a stagnant street. This is a street that is quite rapidly changing. Holding every building to a mix of commercial and residential may be impractical going forward. There is a demand for both. There is an interest in, I think, accommodating some of the shifts in demand for use of those structures and the different demand and supply for services, amenities, restaurants, commercial, office, and indeed daycare. So I'm not as uncomfortable about standardizing the use of a building for this kind of purpose. So I'm not as fussed about the change of use in this instance. And again, I'm repeating myself, but it's underpinned by the fairly significant change of use and transition that this street is undergoing and this neighborhood is undergoing. A very desirable neighborhood, by the way, for families, and I can attest to the fact that there is an extremely high demand for daycare in this area. So that's not before us, as you appropriately point out, Dylan, that the change of use and as well the change of use is a significant one. But I think in the context of this neighborhood, it's not inappropriate. And the other variance is almost is virtually so minor, very, very minor. So I'm not uncomfortable with this application the way it is now. I think it satisfies the tests that we need to apply. And given the nature of the street and what's happening and what's changing, I think it is not inappropriate. So those are my views. Anyone else? All right, then Dylan?
I guess I do question, like, I think if there's a ground floor daycare, that would be not a problem at all. It's completely, as they pointed out, reasonable. I guess to me, it feels like it's a lot of demand on a building that's not really well suited for this particular use. A lot of kids, there's really a tiny yard. They're gonna have to be, it's gonna be quite complicated making sure all the kids get enough space. It's right beside residentials. So I just feel like it's trying to squeeze something into a space that doesn't really suited to that space. Again, a small daycare on the ground floor would obviously be as of right, and I think completely, there's more than enough space at the back to manage that. But like they're trying to squeeze like playgrounds to the terrace. They're talking about trying to squeeze something into the building. It just speaks to me that it's not really the best location for turning the entire building to that specific commercial purpose.
Okay.
So I'm not really, I don't think I can, I mean, I see the need for it, but people point out there's lots of spaces in the area. Maybe one of those condos would have a better, more appropriate space. I don't know.
All right, fair comments. All right, so Andy, do you want to add anything?
Well, the change of use troubles me as well. There's such a need for daycare, so it's a tricky one. But I'm just looking at my own mandate to find a variance minor. And for many of the reasons that Dylan's presented in more detail, it's difficult to find a change of use minor. And the change of use provisions that's beyond us. That's what was put into law. And so I feel as part of my mandate, it's difficult to call that minor.
Okay, all right, let's try a motion then.
I'll make a motion to refuse the variances.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reid to refuse.
Through the chair as amended, the amended purpose.
Yeah. The amended purpose.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? I'll dissent. The application is refused. Okay, and that concludes our morning session. Nicole, when are we back?
Through the chair, we will commence our afternoon agenda at 2:30 p.m. 2:38 p.m. How many times?
2:38?
2:20 p.m., sorry.
Okay, we're back at 2:20.
Thank you, members. Please turn off your microphones and your videos, and staff mute the room. Thank you.
She owns two, so she might have something, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I'm always right. That is governed by the use and the size of the. Yeah. She just